Chapter 647. Military Advisor Chiu, Military Advisor Chiu. Yang Yunzhang yelled at the critical moment. Roaming King, didn't you order Military Advisor Chiu to be locked up because he tried to harm you? The woman beside him asked. Yang Yunzhang slapped his forehead. That seemed to be the case. He had drunk too much and had forgotten about that. He finally realized how important Chiu Ranzhong was. He had won the previous battles because of Chiu Ranzhong's advice, but now, Chiu Ranzhong was locked up. Military Advisor Chiu. Where is Military Advisor Chiu? Quickly bring him to see this prince. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a commotion outside. General Li has escaped with his men. We can't hold the fort outside. Run. Run. Outside, the servants who served Yang Yunzhang in the city lord's mansion were in a frenzy. They were all running for their belongings. What are you doing? Yang Yunzhang's eyes narrowed. These belong to me. You're just a bunch of lowly servants. How dare you take my belongings? Zing! Yang Yunzhang drew his sword and killed a servant girl who was running away. Stop right there, all of you. Where's General Li and my other brothers? Roaming King, General Li Hashan has escaped with his men. The other generals have also escaped. You should run as well. The Imperial Court's army of 100,000 is coming. One of the servants who served Yang Yunzhang said bitterly. It's just 100,000. I still have the support of so many people. Yang Yunzhang snorted. When I go out, I'll raise my arm and call for help. Who knows how many people will follow me? The servant looked at Yang Yunzhang as if he was an idiot. Roaming King, do you know what the people outside are calling you? What? The mediocre king. You're even worse than Emperor Luo Zhao's mediocre king. What? Yang Yunzhang was furious. How dare he compare that incapable emperor to me? What right does he have? Roaming King, you've been here for too long. You should go out more. You're no longer the roaming king I know. The servant carried a large parcel. I'll be leaving first. There were too many people running away. Yang Yunzhang was unable to stop them all by himself. He even realized that his guards were nowhere to be found. What was even more infuriating was that the two women who had been serving him had also run away. Bastards, when this king returns, all of you will be executed. Although he was angry, Yang Yunzhang did not dare to stay here any longer. He picked up his sword and some of his belongings and ran out. The streets were now in a state of chaos. There was no one guarding the city gate. Many soldiers ran away after stealing things. The mediocre king's men have finally escaped. Ha 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 ha. They've run away. They've finally run away. The Imperial Court has come to save us. Sob sob sob. I thought that the Imperial Court couldn't defeat them. The Imperial Court is finally here. The soldiers had all run away in fear, but the commoners were overjoyed and prepared to welcome the people from the Imperial Court. This scene made Yang Yunzhang feel incredulous. Didn't the common people hate the great Yan dynasty and that fatuous ruler in the past? Why was it different this time? He grabbed a short man and shouted, "That dog Emperor Luo Zhao killed the loyal and the good. He didn't care about the lives of the people and allowed the landlords to oppress the people. How can you welcome people from the Imperial Court? Who are you?" The short man did not recognize Yang Yunzhang. He was quite strong as well. He pushed away Yang Yunzhang, who was obviously not as strong as before due to excessive drinking and women. I'm just asking. Why are all of you speaking up for the Imperial Court? Yang Yunzhang was so angry that he wanted to draw his sword. However, when he saw a few people standing beside the short man glaring at him, he immediately cowered. He explained, "The current emperor is fatuous and incompetent. The Imperial Court doesn't care about the lives of the common people. I don't understand why all of you are speaking up for the Imperial Court. Is there a need to ask? No matter how bad the Imperial Court is, it's still better than the common people's court," the short man shouted. "That's right. That dog Yang Yunzhang said that he would beat up the landlords and divide the land. Beat my ass. After beating up the landlords, his subordinates became landlords. They're worse than those landlords in the past. Indeed. Although those landlords in the past were bad, most of them were good. They gave us a fair price. That dog Yang Yunjong's subordinates exploited us even more ruthlessly. My poor relative's children were ruined by that dog Yang Yunjong's subordinates. Sigh. Just now, a few pieces of meat in my house were robbed. No matter how bad the imperial court is, at least no one dares to rob in the streets. Yes, yes. Hearing these angry words, Yang Yunjong was afraid that he would be recognized. He ran away with his tail between his legs. He found a horse and ran for an unknown amount of time. Then, he heard the people behind him welcoming the imperial court's soldiers. He was in a daze. Even now, he didn't know why he failed. Was it really like what those people said? That his subordinates were incompetent? Damn it! My subordinates are clearly from the countryside. How can they bully others? Yang Yunjong cursed as he urged his horse to run. When he walked into a forest, he suddenly hesitated. Where should he go? He suddenly panicked. At this time, he suddenly thought of a place. In the evening, Yang Yunjong staggered to a place. This was his former home. Now, it was in tatters. Only a wall was left. There was a small mound behind. His wife was buried there. When he saw the house, Yang Yunjong remembered the past. A sour taste filled his throat. He suddenly knew where he was wrong. His lofty aspirations back then were laughable now. He used to be devoted to the people, but now, he allowed his subordinates to bully the people. He became the kind of person he used to hate the most. Wife, I was wrong. Yang Yunjong knelt in front of the grave and cried, I'm sorry. I promised you that I would change your tombstone, but I forgot. Wife, what should I do now? What should I do? No one answered him. In the dark night, there was only the cold autumn wind. It's here. This is Bastard Yang's hometown. Suddenly, the sound of horse hooves came from all directions. It turned out that after defeating Yang Yunjong's army, Wang Zhong's army pursued and tracked Yang Yunjong's whereabouts. Someone knew that Yang Yunjong's hometown was here. Therefore, Wu Yuan guessed that Yang Yunjong might have escaped here. Then, he sent a small group to track him. Calculating the time, it was about time for them to arrive. Yang Yunjong instantly panicked. Someone's coming. Wife, what should I do? He wanted to run, but there were torches everywhere. He had no way out. Donkey donkey. A few horses stopped in front of Yang Yunjong. Bastard Yang, you're really here. Two soldiers pointed at Yang Yunjong and shouted. In an instant, a large group of people surrounded Yang Yunjong. How did you chase me here? Yang Yunjong leaned against the wall and said with a trembling voice. Plop. A person was pushed to the ground. Sitting on the horse, Wu Yuan sneered. Thanks to your brother, he knows where your home is. The person who fell to the ground was Li Hashan, who was the first to escape. Li Hashan. Yang Yunjong's eyes narrowed and said angrily, I thought of you as a brother, but you actually harmed me. Li Hashan completely ignored Yang Yunjong. He turned to Wu Yuan and begged for mercy. General Wu, I have already brought you here. Please let me live. I know where a lot of gold is hidden. I can take you there. During this period of time, Li Hashan had secretly hidden a lot of good things, all of which were hidden in a secret place. Sometimes, even Wang Zhong couldn't understand this kind of person. He clearly had so much wealth that he couldn't spend it all, but he still wanted to be greedy. He was so greedy that he even forgot how much wealth he had. This Li Hashan in front of him was such a person. It wasn't enough to rob the landlords, but he still wanted to rob the people of their wealth. He even wanted to occupy the land and exploit the people. This was probably the generation that was afraid of being poor. Li Hashan kept begging for mercy, but Wu Yuan kicked him away. Yang Yunjong took the opportunity and stabbed Li Hashan in the heart. Even if I die, I won't let you have it easy. Li Hashan grabbed Yang Yunjong's sleeve tightly. The two brothers who had gone through fire and water looked at each other. My name is Yang Yunjong. My wife was killed by those landlords. Since the imperial court didn't give us a way out, we rebelled. My name is Li Hashan. My parents starved to death. Brother Yang, you saved me by giving me a bun. I'll follow you from now on. Good brother. Good brother. Plop. The scene of the past still echoed in his mind, but Li Hashan was already dead. Ha ha ha. Ah ha ha ha. Yang Yunjong suddenly laughed. Regret, I regret it so much. No one knew what Yang Yunjong regretted. Wu Yuan waved his hand and several soldiers approached Yang Yunjong. But in the next moment, Yang Yunjong cut his own throat. Poochie. The sharp blade cut his throat and Yang Yunjong fell to the ground. Bring these 2 corpses back and report to His Majesty. Wu Yuan frowned and looked at the shabby house and said, As for this place, burn it down. In the future, no one will know about Bastard Yang's house. Yes. When the news of Yang Yunjong's death spread, the whole country was shocked. Because many people couldn't understand how Yang Yunjong was defeated so quickly. When Yang Yunjong started the uprising, he was unstoppable. He took over 3 cities in a few days. Many people began to guess that Yang Yunjong might be the next son of heaven. But they didn't expect him to be defeated so quickly. Many people who were originally restless and prepared to take over Wang Zhong's empire fell silent. It seemed like the great Yan dynasty was not done yet. In the Gao family's residence, Gao Yan was still painting in his room. He was painting a general riding on a horse. The general in the painting was burly and his eyes were bright. After he finished painting, Gao Yan suddenly realized that although the general in the painting was tall, he lacked charm. Chuang King Yang is in danger, Gao Yan said calmly. Chapter 648. As soon as Gao Yan finished speaking, the sound of hurried footsteps rang from outside. Before the person arrived, Gao Yan said, Steward, it's slippery outside. Walk slowly. Young master, Chuang Yang's army was defeated. He and his generals fled in different directions. They didn't expect to be betrayed by their subordinates. In the end, they were captured in Chuang Yang's hometown. Chuang Yang committed suicide on the spot. The steward finished speaking in one breath. He thought his young master would be shocked. Unexpectedly, Gao Yan smiled faintly. Just as I expected. Although Gao Yan had always been at home, he had many spies outside to gather information for him. Previously, when he learned that Chuang Yang's subordinates were committing atrocities in the city, including raping and pillaging, Gao Yan immediately concluded that Chuang Yang was in danger. In truth, this was easy to explain. Yang Yunjong relied on the support of the people at the bottom to make his fortune. After his first success, he broke his promise to the people and lost their support. It was only natural that Chuang Yang's army was defeated. Young master, you're truly a prophet. By the way, have you found the person I'm looking for? Gao Yan asked. I've brought him here. The steward hurried out as he spoke. Soon after, he helped an old man in. Young master, Elder Chiu is here, the steward said. The old man was none other than Chiu Renjong, who had escaped from the battlefield. Even Chiu Renjong himself did not know that the soldier who saved him was actually Gao Yan's informant. Elder Chiu, you've had a hard journey. Gao Yan helped Chiu Renjong sit down. Chiu Renjong was slightly flattered. Even now, he did not know why this young man had brought him here. However, it seemed like these people did not hand him over to the imperial court. It was not bad. May I know why you brought me here? Chiu Renjong was puzzled. He said, You should know that I'm a criminal wanted by the imperial court. If I'm discovered here, it'll be troublesome. Of course I know. However, Great Yan Dynasty's fate is drawing near. If something happens to a talent like Elder Chiu, won't it be a great loss? Gao Yan smiled faintly. Ever since Yang Yunjong's uprising, Gao Yan had been keeping an eye on it. He even sent a few spies there to investigate the situation. Based on the spies' reports, Yang Yunjong did many things because of Chiu Renjong's advice. Hence, Yang Yunzhang respectfully addressed him as a military counselor. Therefore, Gao Yan told them all that if Yang Yunzhang was defeated, Qiu Ranzhong must be rescued. Young Master Gao, you mean? Qiu Ranzhong seemed to know something. Elder Qiu is also an understanding person. You should know what I'm talking about. In today's world, the emperor was muddle-headed and incompetent, the common people were suffering, and there were rogues, bandits, and robbers everywhere. The pitiful commoners are being exploited by the imperial court, the landlords, and the bandits. They even have to suffer from this disaster. How can they survive? And without a way out, people like Yang Yunzhang would naturally appear. Unfortunately, although this Yang Yunzhang has a heroic spirit, his character has destined him to have too much power. Thus, his army was defeated like a landslide. The so-called Great Min dynasty was just a flash in the pan. As for me, Gao Yan, I have already made all kinds of preparations. Now, the Gao family has 40,000 private soldiers, and among them, we have good relations with the various aristocratic families. Currently, the imperial court is obviously ruthless to the landlords. To be honest, I only need to raise my arm and call for help, and the aristocratic families will definitely support me. At that time, I'll conservatively estimate that I'll have the support of 100,000 soldiers. That's not all. All these years, I've been doing charity every year and empathizing with the common people suffering. I'm already very respected in this area. I believe that when the time comes, many knowledgeable people will join me. At that time, it won't be strange if I have 200,000 soldiers. Moreover, my family has many strategists. This time, if I have Elder Qiu's support, I, Gao Yan, will definitely turn the Great Yan dynasty upside down. Gao Yan had never said so much in one breath. In his opinion, most of the people around him were too stupid. He did not like to talk to stupid people. Qiu Ranzhong was one of the few people he felt was worthy of him speaking so much. Qiu Ranzhong nodded slightly. Good, good. I didn't expect you to have such a detailed plan, young Master Gao. I've underestimated you. So, Elder Qiu, you've agreed to assist me? Qiu Ranzhong sighed. Naturally, I've agreed. However, I suspect that there are capable people in the imperial court. I think that's the case as well. Gao Yan frowned. Although the Great Yan dynasty was in a precarious situation recently, and the series of policies seemed chaotic. For example, many people thought the emperor had killed many corrupt officials. At that time, there were people who thought the emperor was forcing the officials to rebel. However, they did not expect the officials to be suppressed in the end. Later on, the emperor even attacked the landlords and killed the rich, causing panic among the people. Even so, the rebellion was suppressed in the end. Not only was there no chaos, but the Great Yan dynasty was even more stable. Recently, the emperor had even opened up overseas trade. He was actually doing business with those barbarians. He even established some foreign affairs department and built many huge houses during the flood. He had no idea what the emperor was up to. However, Gao Yan felt that the emperor was not messing around. He must have his reasons. This series of actions did not seem like what the emperor had done in the past. Therefore, Gao Yan suspected that there was a talent like Qiu Ranzhong by the emperor's side. Therefore, we can't use common sense to judge the emperor from now on. We should wait and see, Qiu Ranzhong said. Elder Qiu and I have the same opinion. However, in my opinion, even if the emperor has a capable person by his side, he can't change the fate of the Great Yan dynasty. Young Master Gao, you seem very confident, Qiu Ranzhong said suspiciously. Haha, the barbarians at the border are eyeing us covetously. Su Lu of Sea Salt City has his own army. No matter which opponent it is, it won't be easy to deal with them. If the emperor wants to deal with them, it won't be as simple as having money, food, and soldiers. He also needs the hearts of the people. So, young Master Gao is gathering the hearts of the people now. That's right. Originally, Yang Yunzhang could have done it well. Unfortunately, he valued friendship too much and was killed by his subordinates. Gao Yan sighed and looked at Qiu Ranzhong solemnly. I won't repeat his mistake. I'll be the next son of destiny. The current emperor is just a stepping stone for me to ascend the throne. I'll bury his body under the throne room." Looking at the lofty Gao Yan, Qiu Runzhong's ambition was ignited. "I, Qiu Runzhong, will support you with all my strength, young Master Gao." After saying that, he knelt down. "Elder Qiu, what are you doing? Get up quickly." Gao Yan was quite good at manipulating people. He did not like such empty words. He quickly helped Qiu Runzhong up. "Steward, give me some tea. I'd like to have a good talk with Elder Qiu today," said Gao Yan. All right. The steward left to prepare the tea. Gao Yan asked, "Elder Qiu, now that Yang Yunzhang's army has been annihilated and the Great Yan dynasty has consolidated its position, when do you think the Great Yan dynasty will face a crisis next?" Qiu Runzhong replied, "This winter." "Oh, why?" Gao Yan asked. "This winter, there will be floods, and autumn will come early. According to my night observations, there might be a severe cold snap. At that time, snow will seal the mountains, and disaster victims will be everywhere. It might be the worst natural disaster in the history of the Great Yan dynasty. At that time, the entire Great Yan dynasty will be shrouded in disaster victims, and the people will be resentful. Even if the emperor has capable people by his side, I'm afraid they won't be able to deal with such a situation. If Wang Zhong were here, he would be shocked to hear this." This was because Qiu Runzhong's words were exactly what Wang Zhong was worried about. At the end of this year, the world would be in chaos. The emperor and his concubines would be burned alive in the palace. "You're right, Elder Qiu. Now, we just have to wait for winter to come." Gao Yan said indifferently, "When I become the emperor, it'll be the day I burn the emperor and his concubines to death. Achoo! Achoo!" "Who the F***CK is talking about me behind my back?" Wang Zhong muttered under his breath. He continued to review the memorials in the Great Hall. "Your Majesty, the weather is cold. You must take care of your body and wear more clothes," He Taigao said as he brought some clothes over. "It's fine." Wang Zhong waved his hand. "I'm not sneezing because of the cold. Someone must be talking about me behind my back." "You're so funny, Your Majesty. Who in the world doesn't know how good you are? Almost every day, there are people praising you behind your back for your love for the people. You're the only one who knows how to flatter." Wang Zhong felt helpless. Hee. "Your Majesty, I'm telling the truth. Great companion, do you feel that the cold weather came a little earlier this year?" "I think so. When I woke up this morning, I put on an extra layer of clothes to protect myself from the cold, but I'm still shivering. Sigh, the people are going to suffer again." Wang Zhong shook his head. "Forget it. Let's go to the throne room for the morning assembly." Yes. When they arrived at the throne room, the civil and military officials had been waiting for a long time. Now, there were a lot of new blood among the civil and military officials. They were no longer pedantic old men. Instead, there were some young reformists. "Start the memorial," He Taigao shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, many officials began to report some matters. Because the flood and Yang Yunzhang's revolutionary army had been dealt with, the main thing now was some trivial matters. After dealing with most of the matters, Wang Zhong looked at the two officials in charge of building the large houses. "Lord He, Lord Li, how is the progress of the large houses that I arranged for you to build in various places this year?" "Replying to Your Majesty, according to your instructions, each town has a large house. 2/3 of it has been built. Speed up. In addition, this kind of house must be warm, wind-resistant, and sturdy. If there's even the slightest mistake, you'll have to be skinned as an apology." Wang Zhong's tone left no room for doubt. The two officials were so frightened that they hurriedly knelt down. "Your Majesty, this humble subject has been personally supervising the construction in the north all this time. This humble subject has also been personally supervising the construction in the south. I even sent my wife and children to supervise the construction in order to complete the task Your Majesty assigned. Your Majesty, please investigate clearly." "That's good." Wang Zhong was delighted. He didn't expect that a casual scare would scare them to this extent. It seemed that he had really become a tyrant in the eyes of these officials. Just as he was speaking, Wang Zhong suddenly noticed a snowflake drifting in from outside. "It's snowing." Chapter 649. It's snowing. No one expected that this year's snow would come so early, so much so that many people were not ready for winter. Prepare food quickly. If anything goes wrong, report it immediately. Don't hide the disaster. Anyone who hides the disaster will have their property confiscated. Looking at the heavy snow outside, Wang Zhong mercilessly gave the order. The officials went to prepare in an orderly manner. No one dared to be negligent because they knew that the emperor was telling the truth. Now they understood the emperor's temper. If they did well, the emperor would clearly distinguish between gratitude and grudges. If they did not do well, the emperor would not care if it was because of external reasons. But if it was because of your own reasons, once you caused a big problem, the emperor would not let you off easily. Therefore, no one dared to be negligent, especially the two ministers in charge of building the houses. One of them faced south and the other faced north. They rushed to prepare Wang Zhong's order. In the sky, it was snowing heavily. 3 days later, the snow was already 10 centimeters thick. Wang Zhong stood in the snow with a dignified expression. "Your Majesty, Minister Zhang requests an audience." A little eunuch ran in. "Quickly invite him in." "Yes." Soon, Zhang Sheshe, who was wearing a red cloak, quickly walked in. "This humble subject Zhang Sheshe greets your Majesty." "My dear subject, there is no need to be so courteous. Quickly get up. How is the food exchange plan that we sent you to the Persian Empire going?" The Persian Empire was also a large agricultural country with a large population. After knowing about this place, Wang Zhong sent Zhang Sheshe to discuss the trade with some of their country's local products. "It's settled. That country is willing to use food to exchange for our cloth and silk. Moreover, the king of the other country also said that he is very interested in your suggestion of establishing an embassy. He said that it would be convenient for the people of the two countries to communicate in the future and can also establish an alliance." "Oh," Wang Zhong said with a smile. "That's good. Quickly tell me how you made the other party agree." Zhang Sheshe smiled and said, "This humble subject heard from the people that the Persian Empire is surrounded by many enemy countries. Since the Persian Empire is relatively rich, it is often harassed by its neighbors. Thus, this humble subject made this suggestion to the Persian Empire's king. As long as we establish embassies, our country can become friendly with them. If one of the two countries is in trouble, the other side will definitely help. After that, I also found out that there wasn't much ironware in that country. I showed them our country's ironware, which was much harder than theirs. They praised our equipment and said that they were willing to exchange food for our weapons." Zhang Sheshe finished speaking in one breath, causing Wang Zhong to nod his head repeatedly. "Very good, very good. Winter is about to arrive, and our country is lacking in rations. With the rations from the Persian Empire, our great Yan dynasty has a great guarantee of safety." Zhang Sheshe, this humble subject is here. You have contributed to the foreign trade. I will reward you handsomely. The heavy snow lasted for a few days, and the weather suddenly turned cold. Zhang Sheshe arranged for all the fleets in the country to transport the supplies. There were a lot of resources. Firstly, there was food. Secondly, there was warm clothing. A month later, the real snow came. It was winter now. Not only was the weather cold, but the snow outside was also very heavy. In just a week, the snow was more than half a meter high. It was not convenient for many people to go out. However, Wang Zhong had already made various preparations. He arranged for the soldiers to spread the knowledge of how to save the snow. In order to make it easier for the people to see, Wang Zhong summarized 3 main points. First, the roofs had to be cleared of snow every day. If the roofs were not cleared of snow, if the snow was too thick, it would cause the houses to collapse. It was very troublesome. Second, the people had to wear more clothes when they went out. Third, if they couldn't survive, they had to go to the authorities. The three main points were simple and easy to understand. Even so, many careless people ignored them, and many houses collapsed. However, most of them hid in their houses and lived through the winter with difficulty. Soon, the price of food in every place skyrocketed. Many people felt that they could not afford it anymore, and the resentment grew. At this time, the imperial court announced new policies. Those who did not have houses could go to the big houses in every town to spend the winter. After winter, the imperial court would help each family build a house. At this time, the people finally knew what these big houses were for. In truth, the big houses built by Wang Zhong were only huge factories in the modern era. Apart from being able to shelter them from the wind and rain, there was no other use inside. Hence, the cost of building them was not high. However, the effect was different. Many people who felt that they could not survive entered the big houses and felt that they had a new home. After that, Wang Zhong gave these large houses a name. They were called sanctuary. Soon after, the new policies were announced the next day. It was strictly prohibited to speculate in food. Those who were found to be involved would have their properties confiscated. Families who had no food to eat could go to the shelters and receive food. Each family could only receive food for 2 days with a certificate. Many people who felt that they had a way to survive were less resentful toward Wang Zhong. They felt that a wise emperor was above them. Naturally, Gao Yan, Qiu Renzhong, and the others heard about this. I'm afraid there are tens of millions of people in Great Yen now. The emperor is so bold to provide disaster relief. Although he won the hearts of the people, the national treasury will definitely be empty. Gao Yan exclaimed in his study. That's right. However, there will always be areas that can't be taken care of. When the national treasury is empty, I believe the emperor will be anxious. As Qiu Renzhong spoke, he began to hesitate. This was because he did not know if he was doing the right thing by rebelling against Wang Zhong. In the past, he rebelled against Great Yen because he saw the people living in poverty. He saw the officials protecting each other and colluding with the merchants. However, everything had changed. He suddenly felt that it was not a good idea to rebel. He looked at Gao Yan. Gao Yan was smiling at this moment. He said, "Elder Qiu, I'll go out and distribute the porridge." Go ahead. Elder Qiu nodded slightly. This was the best time to win the hearts of the people. Soon after, a few big pots were set up in front of the Gao family's house. Clang, clang, clang. Fellow villagers, my young master is here to deliver porridge. Come and eat. This is fragrant and sweet porridge. My young master empathizes with the suffering of the people. He specially ordered us to deliver some soup to everyone. Come, come, everyone. Come quickly. Gao Yan stood beside the big pot with a calm expression. Based on his previous experience, many disaster victims would come over to express their gratitude to him soon. Big brother Gao Yan, why are there so few people this time? After waiting for a long time, Gao Yan's fiancée, Yanzi, asked curiously when she saw that there were only a few disaster victims. Maybe there's no one at home. Gao Yan said suspiciously, after all, it's cold and there's nothing to eat. Maybe they went out to look for food. Yanzi nodded slightly. Maybe. Yanzi had always believed in Gao Yan's words without a doubt. Young Master Gao, I know the reason. At this moment, the housekeeper rushed over, looking travel-worn. It turns out that many disaster victims have run to the refuge. Refuge? Gao Yan frowned. What's that place? Didn't His Majesty allocate a lot of silver during the flood to build the big houses? At first, we wondered where that place was, but now we know. It turns out that His Majesty had already guessed that there would be a cold wave this winter, so he built the big houses in advance. It's now called a refuge so that the people who don't have houses can take refuge there. Ha ha ha, good good. Gao Yan smiled. This His Majesty is really hiding something. But does he think that it's enough to just let people live in it? You know, the most important thing is to eat. By the way, young master, the official at the refuge heard that young master is going to give out porridge. He said that you can go to the refuge to give out porridge so that the disaster victims can take it. Hearing that, Gao Yen was a little depressed. He was kind enough to give out porridge, but he had to go to the designated place. It was not a problem to go to the refuge, but what if people mistakenly thought that it was His Majesty who gave out porridge? So he decided to go there personally to give out porridge. He must not let people think that it was His Majesty's credit. Soon, under Gao Yan's arrangement, they began to give out porridge at the refuge. This is the porridge from my young master. Everyone, come and eat. This fragrant porridge is from my young master. My young master has a good heart, so he gives you porridge. The Gao family's servant shouted at the door of the refuge. There were many disaster victims here. Hearing that there was free porridge, they all rushed over. Seeing this scene, Gao Yen was very gratified. But what made him speechless was that these disaster victims were actually talking about His Majesty while drinking porridge. Let's go to the refuge to drink. It's warm in there. Okay, it's really cold this year. Fortunately, His Majesty empathized with the people and built a refuge for us. Otherwise, I don't know how many people would have died. Yes, I used to scold His Majesty. Now that I think about it, I've really sinned. His Majesty is really a wise emperor. Well, His Majesty is a wise emperor. This is a real wise emperor. At this time, the housekeeper next to Gao Yen couldn't stand it anymore and said, although His Majesty is good, our young master Gao is also good. He gives out porridge every year. Come on, every time he comes out to give out porridge, he has to beat gongs and drums. It's like a war. Yes, he just wants us to say something good about him. These disaster victims didn't know that it was the housekeeper of the Gao family in front of them, and they didn't know that Gao Yen was next to them, so they spoke without any scruples. Another person said disdainfully, "Look at this porridge. There are only a few grains of rice floating in it. You call this porridge? Look at the food His Majesty gave out. That's called generous." Yes, in my opinion, this young master Gao Yen is definitely a villain. He wants to show his kindness by giving out a few bowls of porridge. Bah, this kind of person is the most disgusting. The more Gao Yen listened, the uglier his face became. A group of lowly people, how dare you talk about me like that? If it wasn't for this young master wanting to leave a good reputation, you would have been beaten up by me today. Taking a deep breath, Gao Yen snorted coldly and left the place. Zhou Runzhong frowned as he watched. Gao Yen had good intentions and knew how to carry out the plan. However, his temperament didn't seem to be good. He was utilitarian and jealous. Chapter 650. The continuous relief work put a lot of pressure on Wang Zhong. The food purchased this year was being consumed rapidly. Fortunately, a lot of food was shipped in from overseas, which solved the urgent need. However, some areas were not doing well. For example, Sea Salt City managed by Sul Vai, who had his own troops. Sul Vai had sent urgent letters to the imperial court several times, requesting food support from the imperial court. However, Wang Zhong ignored these requests. On one hand, even if the relief work was done, Sul Vai would probably take away most of the food. After all, Sul Vai needed food to feed his private troops. On the other hand, even if the relief work was done, Sul Vai would not care about his kindness. Otherwise, Sul Vai would not have his own troops. In any case, this person would rebel against him sooner or later, so Wang Zhong simply ignored him. Seeing that the imperial court did not provide any support, Sul Vai was so angry that he slammed the table. This emperor is too outrageous. He really doesn't take me seriously. Inside the governor's mansion. Even though there were many imperial court officials sitting in front of him, Sul Vai still scolded Wang Zhong in front of everyone. He did not scold him on purpose, but he was used to it. In the area of Sea Salt City, he was the king. In name, this place was under the jurisdiction of the Great Yen dynasty, but in fact, people with discerning eyes knew that this place was already controlled by Sul Vai. Therefore, Sul Vai dared to scold Wang Zhong in front of everyone without any psychological burden. Please calm down, Your Excellency. According to the intelligence, His Majesty has supported several other provinces in succession and only left out our place. I think His Majesty did it on purpose, a subordinate guessed. There's no need to think. That dog emperor must be suspecting me. Sul Vai sneered. Originally, I didn't want to fall out with him so early, but that old emperor won't give me a way out. I'm sure that once winter is over and the great Yen dynasty stabilizes, that old emperor will probably make a move on me. At that time, I'm afraid all of you won't be able to escape. Don't forget how he dealt with those officials who opposed him. He skinned them and stuffed them with feces, made the men slaves, and made the women prostitutes. The group of officials' expressions turned cold. A few of them who were considered Sul Vai's confidants hurriedly stood up. Your Excellency, if there's anything, just tell me. I'll be at your disposal at any time. Me too. The city lord is deeply loved and respected by the people here. If this dog emperor doesn't give us a way out, then we might as well rebel. Once these words were spoken, the expressions of everyone present trembled. All this time, no one had been able to break through this layer of window paper. But now that things had been made clear, there was no point in hiding it anymore. Su Lve nodded in satisfaction. All right, from today onwards, I will establish myself as the ruler. The name of the country is High Yen Country, and I will command the 8 major cities around High Yen Country. Does anyone have any objections? Everyone was originally on the same boat, so who would have any objections at this time? Sul Vai smiled with satisfaction. He had long thought of establishing himself as a monarch. Now, he had complete control over the 9 cities around Sea Salt City. This place was backed by Dahai, and there was a mountain range in front of it. It was easy to defend and difficult to attack. It would be difficult for the great Yen dynasty to invade this place. Moreover, he could take the opportunity to bring his soldiers out to fight for territory. It would be best if he could stir up chaos in the world. At that time, the great Yen dynasty would be in chaos. With his current strength, he might be able to unify the great Yen dynasty and become its monarch. When news of the establishment of High Yen Country spread, it instantly attracted the attention of the various factions. When the neighboring countries heard the news, they harassed the borders even more brazenly, causing the refugees to flee. Some even brought their families with them to Great Yen. The garrison at the borders was no match for them at all. They kept asking Wang Zhong for help. Wang Zhong's answer was only one: defend to the death. Reinforcements were on the way. In truth, Wang Zhong had no intention of saving them at all. These garrison troops were veterans who had been at the borders for a long time. They ran the fastest when it came to snatching money and benefits. When they encountered a battle, they were like soft-footed shrimps and cowered instantly. However, he could not dismiss these soldiers like how he dealt with the landlords and corrupt officials. Otherwise, with so many soldiers rebelling, they would still be a huge force. These soldiers did not put in any effort to deal with foreign enemies. However, if they rebelled against their master, they would be a force to be reckoned with. Hence, Wang Zhong did not touch them back then. Now that the enemy was attacking, it was just as well that he could use the enemy's troops to disperse them. When the time came, he could reorganize his troops and charge back in one go. Apart from the harassment from the neighboring countries, there were also a few warlords in the country who were like Su Lve. One of them attracted Wang Zhong's attention. It was Gao Yen, who was only 23 years old. This person founded the great Yen dynasty. When he made his move, he claimed to have 100,000 soldiers. Although he only had one city in the beginning, in just a month, he had annexed 5 surrounding cities. It was said that he had 200,000 soldiers now. He was the second overlord after Su Lve. Currently, Wang Zhong's faction was the strongest. He had half of Great Yen Dynasty's territory and more than 400,000 soldiers. Although it seemed like he had many soldiers, there were too many enemies. Moreover, his territory was huge. With so many soldiers spread out, it would be easy for him to defeat them one by one. Pass down my order. I'll lead the imperial army into battle. During the morning assembly, Wang Zhong personally gave the order. The officials below him were too disappointing. When he asked who was willing to go to battle, none of them dared to do so. You don't have the guts, right? I'll let you follow me. Since I'm going to lead the imperial army into battle, all of you will follow me. Yes. Yes, Your Majesty. Nobody dared to say no. The news of the emperor leading the imperial army into battle spread quickly. Everyone was gossiping about which side the emperor would deal with. Some people guessed that he would deal with Gao Yan from the great Yan dynasty. Gao Yan was young. Young people were all young and impetuous. They were the easiest to deal with, so it was better to deal with the great Yan dynasty. There were also some who said that he would deal with the Sea Salt Empire because the Sea Salt Empire's troops were scattered and easy to deal with. What surprised the world was that Wang Zhong did not deal with either of the two. Instead, he went to the border and took in all the scattered defenders. Then, he scattered them and reorganized the army. Half a month later, Wang Zhong led 10,000 soldiers and marched into the neighboring country. What? The great Yan dynasty's emperor only brought 10,000 soldiers and horses? Ha ha ha. The enemy's generals were overjoyed when they heard the news. Although the nomads did not have many soldiers, only about 30,000, the rest of the soldiers had to stay in the base camp. Even so, it was enough to deal with Wang Zhong's 10,000 soldiers. The enemy's generals immediately led the army to meet the attack. Ready. On Wang Zhong's side, the battalion commander of the gun battalion shouted. 3,000 soldiers with guns lined up. It seemed like there were only 10,000 soldiers on this expedition, but Wang Zhong brought 6,000 gunmen with him. The remaining 4,000 were cavalrymen in case of any accidents. Wang Zhong deliberately brought so few soldiers to bait the enemy into attacking. Kill. The enemy had 10,000 cavalrymen and 20,000 infantrymen. Fire. The battalion commander of the gun battalion ordered, and the guns were fired. Bang, bang, bang. Ah! Nobody expected the soldiers who were standing quietly in a row to shoot stones out of their hands. Nobody knew what those stones were, but the soldiers and horses on their side fell one after another. Ah! Ouch! I'm dead! Screams of agony could be heard. However, the enemy had already launched their attack. It was impossible for them to retreat now. This group of people was still attacking. On Wang Zhong's side, the second row of gunmen took over from the first row. Fire! Bang! 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 Ah! Ouch! I'm dead! Another wave of ghostly wails and wolf howls rang in the air. Wang Zhong sat on his warhorse and looked at the army in the distance through a telescope. He smiled when he saw the enemy's army being routed. He knew they had won this battle. This battle had shown them their might and momentum. Toot! 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 Soon after, the enemy's horn sounded. Then, the enemy army retreated quickly. A young man dismounted from his horse and knelt as he said, "Your Majesty, I'm willing to pursue them." Don't pursue a cornered enemy. Wang Zhong waved his hand nonchalantly. They had already won this battle. There was no need to make a big fuss. In his opinion, Great Yan would have a strong army and a strong economy in the future. It was only a matter of time before the small nations at the border were flattened. There was no need to rush. Upon hearing Wang Zhong's words, the few generals who wanted to pursue the enemy sighed. They had no choice but to obey him. These people were new recruits promoted by Wang Zhong. Hence, they were very loyal to Wang Zhong. Nobody dared to say anything. Return to the city. Thud, thud, thud. The war drums sounded, and the mighty army returned to the city. This battle ended very quickly, and it was inexplicable. Many people did not know how they won the battle. One had to know that Wang Zhong only had 10,000 soldiers. As for how they won the battle, Wang Zhong, naturally, ordered his subordinates to keep it a secret. Not many people knew about the firearm battalion. They only knew that Wang Zhong had a few thousand soldiers under his command. They were his personal guards and were personally led by him. In the end, Wang Zhong released news that the enemy army could not withstand a single blow. When they saw how powerful Great Yan's army was, they were so frightened that they threw away their armor and fled. After the battle, the border was suddenly peaceful. In order to prevent the border guards from turning into oily soldiers, Wang Zhong adopted a rotational defense plan. Each general would lead 50,000 soldiers to defend the border for 3 years. After 3 years, they would switch teams. This way, the generals would not collude with the enemy if they stayed for too long. It would also prevent the appearance of oily soldiers. It should be known that many dynasties were harassed by neighboring countries because they colluded with the defending generals. They robbed and made a fortune together. I didn't expect this little emperor to have a few tricks up his sleeve. He actually won. When the news reached the enemy nation of Sea Salt, Su Lve was very upset. Your Majesty, it must be because the barbarian soldiers were too weak. That's why Luo Zhao could easily deal with them, a minister said. Yes, it must be so. Anyway, we don't have to worry. In the past few days, Gao Yan from the Great Cliff Dynasty has sent people over and said that they want to form an alliance with us. I think we can consider it. I also think we can consider it. Although the Great Yan Dynasty is at the end of its days, it has many soldiers and generals. It will be difficult for us to deal with them. If Gao Yan of the Great Cliff Dynasty joins forces, we can definitely divide the Great Yan Dynasty up. Humph. Then won't I have to divide the world with that villain Gao Yan? Chapter 651. Humph. Doesn't that mean I'll have to share the world with that despicable Gao Yan? Su Lve snorted. In his opinion, he was the true son of destiny. How could he share the world with a despicable person? That was right. In Su Lve's opinion, people like Gao Yan were despicable. During this time, he had also asked around. Gao Yan had a good reputation among the people by donating some money and giving out porridge. However, as time passed, some people said that Gao Yan was just pretending. He was just fishing for fame. Su Lve was disgusted by such people. He thought they were despicable people. If he was a hero, he should be like Gao Yan and do it openly. Your Majesty, forming an alliance with the Great Yan Dynasty is only a temporary measure. After we're done with the Great Yan Dynasty, we can seize the opportunity to take down the Great Yan Dynasty in one fell swoop. One of the officials said. Good, good. Su Lve laughed. That's what a true hero should do. How can a despicable person like Gao Yan be on equal footing with me? While Su Lve was looking down on Gao Yan sneered as he sat in the great hall of the city governor's mansion. Su Lve is just a martial artist. I'm only forming an alliance with him as a temporary measure. When the Great Yan Dynasty loses power, the Great Yan Dynasty will definitely swallow the Sea Salt Empire in one fell swoop. The Emperor is mighty. Well said, Your Majesty. His Majesty is right. The officials flattered Gao Yan. Gao Yan did not take these flattery to heart. He knew these people were just flattering him. In truth, he did not need flattery at all. He believed he was the true son of destiny, the most outstanding man in the world. Pass down my orders. Speed up the preparation of the fortifications and guard against the Great Yan Dynasty's attack. Also, the vanguard must hurry up and make preparations to catch the Great Yan Dynasty off guard. Unlike Su Lve, who was holed up in the base, Gao Yan wanted to take the initiative to attack. This was because he emphasized that the best defense was offense. Moreover, every time he attacked, he could seize a large piece of land and quickly replenish his energy. Why not? Your Majesty, Elder Qiu is back. At this moment, someone reported from outside. Good. Quickly, invite Elder Qiu in. Gao Yan was overjoyed. He had arranged an important mission for Qiu Ranzhong in the past few days. He was finally back. Greetings, Your Majesty. Long live Your Majesty. Qiu Ranzhong and a large group of people knelt down together. Elder Qiu, there's no need to be so courteous. Quickly tell us, what did the Sand Country's leader say? The Sand Nation was the largest neighboring country to the Great Yan Dynasty. Although this neighboring country was not as powerful as the Great Yen Dynasty, it was located in a region that was easy to defend and difficult to attack. In the past, the Great Yen Dynasty's former emperor had attacked the Xia nation several times without success. This time, Qiu Renzhong was paying a visit to the San nation because Gao Yan had brought a very vicious plan to the San nation. The leader of the San country is very interested in your majesty's plan and has agreed, Qiu Renzhong said solemnly. Ha ha ha. Good, this leader of the San country isn't that stupid. Gao Yan's plan was simple. In the name of requesting reinforcements, the San nation hoped that the Great Yen Dynasty would send an army and reinforcements to reinforce the San nation. In the past, Luo Zhao was very prideful. Whenever other small countries requested for reinforcements, Luo Zhao would wave his hand and provide them. Hence, Gao Yan asked the San nation to continue their request for reinforcements while he attacked the Great Yen Dynasty. When the time came, he promised the San nation that he would give the 5 cities near the San nation to him. Moreover, he would also send 10,000 young girls between the ages of 20 to 15 to the San nation for them to reproduce. Congratulations, Your Majesty. Once the San nation requests for reinforcements, with that dog of an emperor, Luo Zhao, he'll definitely be prideful and provide a large amount of aid. This will make the Great Yen Dynasty's treasury even emptier, one of the officials quickly flattered. That's right. More importantly, when the Great Yen Dynasty sends an army to the San nation, the Great Yen Dynasty's national strength will be depleted. We'll definitely be able to wipe them out. Ha ha ha. That's right. Gao Yan smiled faintly. When the time comes and we occupy the Great Yen Dynasty cities, who will be able to plunder 10,000 young girls for me? Your Majesty, why are you looking for so many young girls? Qiu Renzhong frowned. Elder Qiu, there's something you don't know. In the secret letter you gave to the San nation's leader, one of the gifts I mentioned was 10,000 young girls. I've heard that the men in the San nation are cruel by nature. After the women are married to the men there, they're often beaten up, and the death rate is very high. As a result, there are very few women in the San nation. Hence, in order to make him agree to my conditions, I gave him this condition. As expected, the San nation's leader agreed to it. Gao Yan was very proud of himself. Your Majesty is wise. Your Majesty's divine foresight is truly admirable. Another round of flattery rang out. Qiu Renzhong was the only one present who frowned. He felt that this was not right. It was no longer news that the men in the San nation were cruel by nature. In fact, there were even rumors that the women there had fled to the Great Yen Dynasty in order to escape from there. Now, in order to deal with the Great Yen Dynasty, the emperor actually wanted to send 10,000 young girls over. If the people of the world knew about this, would they not be cursed to death by the people? Your Majesty, isn't this a little inappropriate? Qiu Renzhong had always been a strong-willed person who did not fear authority. If he had anything to say, he would just say it. He continued to say, sending so many young girls will cause a huge commotion. If the people of the world know about this, I'm afraid they won't support us. Ha ha ha. Don't worry, Elder Qiu. I've already thought about this. When the time comes, I'll spread the news that this is the Great Yen Dynasty's doing. Your Majesty, you're truly brilliant. Your Majesty's intelligence is truly beyond our reach. Ha ha ha. Gao Yan seemed very happy. He did not think much of this at all. Qiu Renzhong sighed. He suddenly felt slightly regretful. Initially, he thought Gao Yan was a wise ruler who served the people wholeheartedly. However, it seemed like he was truly a despicable person. In comparison, although the previous Great Yen Dynasty's emperor was muddle-headed, he was not so cruel as to send 10,000 young girls over. If this was remembered by the future generations, they would definitely criticize him. He looked at the officials around Gao Yan again. They were all flattering him to the extreme. This made him want to vomit. Unfortunately, although Qiu Renzhong was displeased, there was nothing he could do at this moment. For the past few days, Wang Zhong had been strengthening the border defenses with the Great Rock Dynasty and the Sea Salt Empire. During the morning assembly, Zhang Shishir from the Foreign Affairs Department reported, Your Majesty, the Sha nation's envoy requests an audience. Oh. Bring him in. Wang Zhong said indifferently. In fact, he had heard that the Sha nation had brought many caravans over yesterday. Reporting today was actually just a formality. Soon, dozens of tall men in strange clothes walked up. Sha nation's envoy, Tran Yelu Sha, greets your majesty. I wish your majesty a long life. The person in the lead had a face full of stubble. After he finished speaking, he and the person behind him covered their chests with one hand and bowed slightly as a form of greeting. After all, he was an envoy from a foreign country. It was normal for envoys not to kneel. Wang Zhong was not a person who cared about his reputation. He nodded slightly and said, "Oh, hello, Yelu Sha. May I know why you've come to our country this time?" As he spoke, Wang Zhong recalled some things about the Sha nation. Speaking of which, the Sha nation had always been a great threat to the Great Yan dynasty. He remembered that after the late emperor had just established the Great Yan dynasty, the Sha nation had repeatedly led a few small countries to harass the Great Yan dynasty. Later on, the late emperor had personally led the troops into battle in a fit of rage, causing the Sha nation to retreat in defeat. However, the Sha nation's terrain was too complicated. After they went over, they were unable to deal with the Sha nation's troops and could only retreat. After that, although the Sha nation did not attack again, they would occasionally harass the Great Yan dynasty. After the late emperor died, the Sha nation sent people over for peace talks, and the two countries were considered to be on good terms. The main reason was that the previous emperor had considered peace as the most important thing. He would often provide some assistance to the Sha nation to make it quieter. Otherwise, the Sha nation would have caused trouble long ago. At the thought of this, Wang Zhong felt a headache. Based on his understanding, the Sha nation was probably here to ask for assistance again. Your Majesty, I've come to your country on behalf of the Sha nation's leader for the sake of the friendship between our two countries. This winter, countless cattle and sheep from our Sha nation were killed or injured. Our people are starving, and there are a few countries eyeing our borders covetously. Our leader knows that your country has a strong army and is powerful. Therefore, he sent me here in hopes of receiving your assistance. For this reason, our leader has even brought along precious resources as a thank you gift to your Majesty to express our honorable friendship. Based on the previous emperor's style of doing things, when the people from the Sha nation came over and said this, they would basically wave their hands and directly provide assistance. However, Wang Zhong was not prepared to do this. What a joke. He did not want to do something that would cause him to suffer because of his pride. Right now, his Great Yan dynasty was also facing internal and external troubles. The people had just recovered from the cold winter. If he were to provide assistance now, wouldn't he be courting death? Therefore he said, I see. Yelu Sha, I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. This year, the Great Yan dynasty isn't having a good time either. Therefore, I'm sorry. Your Majesty, our Sha nation doesn't often provide assistance to your country. Please reconsider. Yelu Sha did not let this matter go. In the past, when he came over, the emperor would provide assistance before he could even speak. How could he not do so today? This was not the demeanor of a great nation at all. Yelu Sha, I've already said that this year, our country of fire is also facing internal and external troubles. Do you understand? Wang Zhong was a little unhappy because this Yelu Sha's words sounded a little forceful. This was unacceptable. If this was really the case, Wang Zhong would not be nice to him. Your Majesty! Yelu Sha frowned and said, I know that the Great Yan dynasty isn't having a good time this year either. However, your country is strong after all, and our Sha nation is not. It's very likely that something big will happen. Don't tell me that your Majesty is going to sit and watch as a crack appears in the friendship between our two countries? To be honest, until now, several countries have contacted my leader to discuss the matter of conquering your country. My leader has been unable to accept it on account of the friendship between our two countries. However, if there's no assistance, our people won't have enough to eat. At that time, it's hard to say. Your Majesty, please reconsider. He was really threatening him. Wang Zhong's eyes were cold. If it were any other emperor, he would definitely have taken out money and begged for mercy. However, he did not. Chapter 652. In Wang Zhong's opinion, friendly relations with neighboring countries were indeed commendable, but this had to be built on the basis of equality. On the surface, this Sand country had a good relationship with his great Yan dynasty, but internally, they were ambitious. It was fine if they did not come to help him at this time, but they actually wanted to help him. More importantly, if they did not help him, it was a threat. Wasn't it obvious that they also wanted to make a fortune? Wang Zhong was not a person who was easy to talk to. He instantly had a plan in his mind. You want help? Fine, I'll scam you first. Is that so? Looks like the people of your country are really miserable. Since that's the case, I'll naturally give some help to your country, Wang Zhong said indifferently. Some of the officials on both sides looked puzzled. Since when was the emperor so easy to talk to? Most of them were somewhat indignant. Everyone could play and make trouble, but when it came to outsiders, they were all united. The words of this Sand country envoy were obviously a threat. They could not figure out why the emperor wanted to help at this time. Yelu Shah, how many things have you brought for me this time? 1,000 pieces of cowhide and sheepskin each. Damn it, they really treat my great Yan dynasty like beggars. Wang Zhong said, very good. Your leader is very generous. Since that's the case, I can't not be generous. Pass down the order. Prepare 30,000 cows and sheep and 10 million taels of silver to give to the Sand country to show the precious friendship between our two countries. Even Yelu Shah himself was stunned. He had seen the emperor of the great Yan dynasty being forthright, but he had never seen such a forthright one. No, this was not forthright, this was a retard. He was overjoyed and secretly thought that the leader would definitely reward him heavily when he returned. However, on the surface, this experienced Yelu Shah still looked hesitant. Yelu Shah, is there anything else you want to say? Wang Zhong said indifferently. Your Majesty, I'm very grateful for your kindness to my country. However, apart from this, a few of our neighboring countries are eyeing us covetously. Therefore, my leader requests your Majesty to send a surprise army to help. Wang Zhong waved his hand. Don't we have hundreds of thousands of troops guarding the border? I'll lend them to you for 3 months. How about it? Yelu Shah was overjoyed. Your Majesty, there's one more thing. Speak your mind. Wang Zhong smiled. Yelu Shah, don't be polite with me. My friendship with your leader is stronger than gold. There's no need to be so wishy-washy. Yelu Shah smiled and said, actually, this is just a small matter. It's like this. In the past few years, the birth rate of women in our country has been dropping year after year, and the men in our country can't find a wife. The leader heard that the women in your country are all heavenly beauties, gentle and lovely, so he asked me to ask if it is possible to let 10,000 girls marry into our Sand country. Pa! Wang Zhong slapped the dragon throne, scaring Yelu Shah. Your Majesty. Wang Zhong was so infuriated that his eyelids kept twitching. This fellow was getting more and more impudent. He even dared to say that he wanted to use the young ladies of the great Yan dynasty. If the world knew about this, he would be scolded by the common people. However, this was not the time to be angry. Yelu Shah, I feel that your suggestion is very good. Our country does indeed have many girls. How about this? Let's not ask for 10,000 girls. How can 10,000 girls show the friendship between our two countries? How about 30,000? If that's not enough, feel free to ask. Enough, of course it's enough. Yelu Shah was overjoyed in his heart. He thought that 30,000 was already a lot. If they asked for more, their small Sand country would not be able to support so many people. This subject, Yelu Shah, represents my respected leader to thank your Majesty for your gift. I wish for your country to enjoy prosperity for many generations to come. Wang Zhong smiled and said, Yelu Shah, there's no need to be so courteous with me. To my great Yan dynasty, this is just a drop in the ocean. However, I also have a few small requests that I hope your country's leader will agree to. Yelu Shah immediately expressed his stance. Your Majesty, you have already bestowed so many gifts. If you have any requests, feel free to ask. My Sand country will definitely do our best. Good, I am very gratified to hear your words. It's like this, I have also been fighting a war recently. You know that although our country is extremely powerful, we are in urgent need of war horses. Your country is a country of the grasslands and has countless war horses. Therefore, if possible, can you give me some? Wang Zhong had already promised so many good things, so Yelu Shah naturally could not say no. In any case, compared to this, they had gained a great deal. Therefore, he immediately asked respectfully, Your Majesty, how many war horses do you need? 20 to 30,000. Of course, the more, the better. Wang Zhong said. Your Majesty, I will go back and report this matter truthfully to the leader. I believe that with the friendship between the leader and your Majesty, he will definitely agree. Yelu Shah said. That's great. There's no time to lose. Set off today and go back to collect the war horses. When you bring the war horses over, I will have more or less gathered the things your country needs. When you go back, you can bring them with you. Wang Zhong laughed heartily. In his heart, he was thinking, hurry up and get lost. If you stay here, I will have to waste food to receive you. After Yelu Shah expressed his thanks, he immediately left with his men to report back. After he left, the imperial court instantly turned into a pot of porridge. Li Mingkai immediately knelt down. Your Majesty, how can you promise so much aid to the Sand country? Our country is also facing internal and external troubles. How can we take out so many resources at once? Another official knelt down. Your Majesty, gifting 30,000 young girls is a serious matter. It is very likely to incite public anger. Your Majesty, please reconsider. An aid of 10 million taels of silver is too much. Right now, Gao Yen and Sul Vai, these two bastards, are eyeing our country covetously. If we send out so much silver, it is very likely that our country will not have enough provisions. Your Majesty, please reconsider. Your Majesty, please reconsider. Your Majesty, please reconsider. Looking at the officials who were kneeling down one by one, Wang Zhong was expressionless. He even felt like laughing. He did not explain in detail because there were too many people in the imperial court. He could not guarantee that he could trust all of them. If the news were to spread that he was deliberately deceiving the Sand country, the war horses might not be sent over. Therefore, he waved his hand and said, Say no more. I have already made up my mind. Court is dismissed. Court is dismissed. He Taigao's loud voice rang out. Ha ha ha, the next day. Great Cliff Court's main hall. When Gao Yen heard that Wang Zhong had promised to send so much aid to the Sand country, he was convulsing with laughter. Fool, you are indeed a fool. To think that you would send so much aid in such a short period of time and even send out 50,000 military horses. Ha 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 ha. Your Majesty's scheme is indeed impressive. That great Yen dynasty's young emperor is really too weak to withstand a single blow. After the aid is sent out, we only need to release some news and let the citizens know what kind of person the young emperor they support is. Ha ha, of course. When the time comes, I will have the support of the citizens. This is the will of the heavens. I will be able to take down a mere great Yen dynasty easily. Congratulations, Your Majesty. Over at the Sand country's side. After Yelu Shah reported back to his country, the Sand country's leader did not dare to believe it. However, Yelu Shah repeatedly said that this was what the emperor had said personally. Since the emperor had already agreed to it, there was basically no problem with it. For this reason, the Sand country's leader even asked around. He heard that the emperor had really started to prepare cattle and sheep, as well as silver, after he returned. He had even arranged for soldiers to go to the countryside and ask around if there were any daughters who were waiting to be married off. After knowing this, the Sand country's leader was overjoyed. Although his heart ached for the 30,000 warhorses, the benefits were worth hundreds of thousands of warhorses. This was a good deal. Yi Lu Sha, you have done well. Now, I order you to bring our warhorses to the country of fire and successfully bring back the aid. Yes, leader. I promise to complete the mission. Yi Lu Sha was full of confidence. This time, because he had completed the mission well, the leader had given him a lot of rewards. It would take a lot of time for so many warhorses to come over. In particular, they would need a lot of food along the way. This made Yi Lu Sha use a lot of brainpower. As for Wang Zhong, this was none of his business. These days, he had been studying the Sand Country's terrain. As he would definitely fall out with the Sand Country later, he might as well catch them off guard. The Great Rock Dynasty and the Sea Salt Empire had been peaceful recently. It was probably because they were suppressing the people from the Great Yen Dynasty's imperial court. Apart from these things, Wang Zhong had something more important to do. He had to build a big ship. The ship's function could be said to be the most important at the moment. Not only could it obtain the needed resources from overseas, but it could also allow the soldiers to move quickly. Regardless of whether it was Su Lu Ye's territory or Gao Yan's territory, they both had troops near the sea. If they could launch a surprise attack from the sea, they would definitely be caught off guard. This was considered a secret plan. For the time being, Wang Zhong focused on making the best use of the time to build firearms. At the same time, in order to increase the number of soldiers, Wang Zhong introduced the compulsory military service system. As long as one member of the family was a soldier, the family would be exempt from taxes for 3 years. This condition was very tempting to ordinary families. After all, not only were they exempt from taxes, but they could also earn money by being a soldier. Many people began to eagerly join the army. Recently, the imperial court's expenditure in terms of financial resources was very large. Wang Zhong was indeed stretched thin. However, the plan in all aspects was more or less completed. Now, not only did he have money and food, but the overseas trade was also very smooth. He only had to wait for the people from the Sand Country to rush over 30,000 warhorses. At that time, his cavalry unit would also be greatly expanded. It's time to start printing newspapers. During the morning assembly, Wang Zhong decided to start printing newspapers. These days, he had gathered many craftsmen to research and develop typesetting and printing. The newspaper was only the size of a book. After all, it was ancient times. It was enough to roughly record a few major events. There was no need for a newspaper as big as the modern one. The newspaper was named Great Yen Dynasty Daily by Wang Zhong. At the beginning, the headlines were all about how Wang Zhong handled the imperial court and how the Great Yen Dynasty and the Sea Salt Empire bullied the people. Perhaps the people did not believe these in the past. However, with the newspaper, over time everyone believed it. Public opinion instantly became better for the imperial court. I didn't expect that the dog emperor of the Great Yen Dynasty, Gao Yan, was such a person who fished for fame. Back then, the porridge was fake. In fact, he was not like this at all. The newspaper recorded that Gao Yan had beaten up a few people who spoke ill of him behind his back. The Sea Salt Empire's Su Lu Yi is not a good person either. He actually caught so many young girls in his residence to play with. Bah! Fortunately, our wise ruler is alive. We must eradicate these two traitors. Chapter 653. At this moment, Wang Zhong was sitting in a tea house. He was sipping tea while reading the newspaper in his hand. At the same time, he was listening to the commoners' comments on the newspaper. If one wanted to change a nation's mind, information was the key. In the past, no one knew who Sul Vai was. They only knew about the Sea Salt Empire and did not know much about the Sea Salt Empire's sudden rebellion. In the past, everyone felt that the Great Yen Dynasty's emperor, Gao Yan, was deeply popular and loved by the commoners. In comparison, the Great Yen Dynasty's emperor seemed very ordinary. However, ever since there were newspapers, the commoners could receive information from other places every day. Things like the Sea Salt Empire's forced conscription and Sul Vai's inhumane behavior. Shocking. Gao Yen was actually such a person who fished for fame. One piece of information might make people scoff and not believe it. However, as time passed, people gradually began to believe the rumors. At present, newspapers were popular in the capital. Wherever one went, one could hear the commoners talking about the contents of the newspaper. Many people were extremely angry at Gao Yen and Sul Vai's actions and felt that the emperor should suppress them. Hearing these people's words, Wang Zhong was very gratified. Sometimes, anger toward the enemy could be a great advantage on the battlefield. A month later, 30,000 war horses were finally sent over. Sha Nation's envoy, Yelu Shah, greets your majesty. Long live your majesty. Yelu Shah bowed slightly as a form of greeting. Yelu Shah, why don't you kneel when you see me? Wang Zhong said deliberately. Yelu Shah frowned. Your majesty, our country doesn't allow kneeling. Besides, I'm the Sha Nation's envoy. I can choose not to kneel. What Yelu Shah said was actually very true. However, Wang Zhong didn't care about this. Today he was deliberately looking for trouble. After finding trouble, he would deliberately fall out with them, find an excuse to detain the horses, and expel Yelu Shah's group. It was simply too perfect. Of course, Wang Zhong knew that this would definitely anger the Sha Nation and cause a diplomatic conflict between the two countries. There might even be a war. But so what? The Sha Nation was ambitious to begin with. It could be said without any doubt that if a war broke out, the Sha Nation would definitely interfere. Therefore, he might as well scam them now and fall out with them so that his subordinates would not have any expectations of the Sha Nation. Pa! Wang Zhong slapped the dragon throne. B*****. This is the Great Yen Dynasty. Since you're here, you should abide by the Great Yen Dynasty's rules. How can you not kneel? Your Majesty, I didn't kneel the last time I came over. Have you forgotten? Yelu Shah was neither servile nor overbearing. He had a strong moral integrity. At the same time, he felt strange. The last time the emperor saw him, he was very polite and spoke of friendship. Why was his temper different this time? Yelu Shah, last time we saw you as a newcomer, so we turned a blind eye. But this time, you still haven't learned the etiquette of our court. Aren't you looking down on me too much? Your Majesty, Yelu Shah doesn't dare to disregard your Majesty. It's just that our country doesn't have such rules. Today, I will make you kneel. Wang Zhong looked very angry, but his acting was very real. At this time, some of the more quick-witted ministers seemed to know what Wang Zhong was planning and began to speak in support of him. The barbarian country has no etiquette. Kneel down to the emperor. That's right, lest we become a laughingstock. Hurry up and kneel down. Yelu Shah was so angry that his face turned red. I didn't expect the country of fire to treat the envoys like this. It will definitely be a joke if this gets out. Great, you still dare to talk back to me. I announce that we are breaking off relations with the Sand Country and kicking out all the envoys from the Sand Country. Wang Zhong said without holding back. Anyway, the two countries would definitely fall out with each other after he detained the Sand Country's 30,000 warhorses. Then, he should be the one to take the initiative. Yelu Shah's expression changed. Your Majesty, do you know what you are saying? Of course I know. Who asked you to be disrespectful to me? Not only will I break off relations with you, but to punish you for being disrespectful to me, I will also confiscate all your warhorses. What? Yelu Shah was stunned. He didn't expect the Emperor of the Country of Fire to be so shameless as to casually confiscate other countries' goods. Wang Zhong was happy. He was learning from the United States. Didn't the United States just casually confiscate goods? They could even casually detain people. At the end of the day, the strong were respected in this world. If he was strong, he was right. Your Majesty, then the aid you promised to my country. Until now, Yelu Shah was still fantasizing about so many things. Wang Zhong waved his hand and said in a very ungentlemanly manner, "What are you thinking?" You've been so disrespectful to me, so why should I help you? I'm already being merciful by not breaking your dog legs on the spot. Men, chase them out and give them 3 days to leave the territory. If not, arrest them and lock them up. Yes. Yi Lu Sha regretted it now. Just because he didn't kneel, he actually caused such a big trouble. He hurriedly knelt down. Your Majesty, I will kneel, I will kneel, I will kneel immediately. Please take back your order. Yi Lu Sha, how can you be like this? If you had kneeled earlier, we wouldn't have ended up like this. Yi Lu Sha nodded vigorously. Your Majesty is right. Your Majesty is right. Please take back your order and help my country. Of course not. As the saying goes, words are as precious as gold. As the ruler of a nation, how can I go back on my words? Men, chase them out. Your Majesty, Your Majesty. Yi Lu Sha's group shouted desperately, but unfortunately, no one pleaded for them. After chasing away Yi Lu Sha's group, Wang Zhong asked with a smile, Everyone, how did I do just now? Your Majesty is really smart. This way, not only do we not have to send those aid, but we can also get 30,000 warhorses for free. Isn't that right? Your Majesty is wise. Although there were many people flattering him, there were still some who were worried. Your Majesty, won't this damage the country's prestige? You should know that our great Yen dynasty is a heavenly province with a great reputation. If news of this spreads, I'm afraid we will become a joke. A joke is a joke. What's real is what's earned. Wang Zhong refuted disdainfully. He continued, In the future, there's no need to be so concerned about face. In the face of the country's interests, face is fleeting. What's needed is tangible benefits and benefits for the people. Understand? Thank you for your teachings, Your Majesty. Thank you for your teachings, Your Majesty. Wang Zhong looked at Li Mingkai and said, Of course, it's necessary to maintain one's reputation. So, don't we have Great Yen Dynasty's daily newspaper? Now, Li Mingkai was in charge of Great Yen Dynasty's daily newspaper. In any case, Li Mingkai was not very capable and could not do anything. However, his writing was top-notch, and there was no problem in terms of loyalty. Therefore, Wang Zhong was not worried about handing Great Yen Dynasty's daily newspaper to Li Mingkai. Li Mingkai. Yes, Your Majesty. Tomorrow, put up a headline and say this. Shocking. The San Nation's envoy actually treated His Majesty this way. His Majesty's actions are amazing. Li Mingkai, do you understand? Li Mingkai nodded slightly. He did not know why Wang Zhong started the article with the word shocking, but it was said that many people read the newspaper this way. Currently, the newspaper was given away for free. Most of them were given to people who could read. Write this in the back. The San Nation wants to use these 30,000 warhorses to exchange for 30,000 women, 10 million taels of silver, and countless cows and sheep. If we don't exchange, they will launch an attack on our country. Therefore, His Majesty treats the San Nation this way. I'll remember it. Li Mingkai nodded and thought to himself that the Emperor's move was brilliant. This way, the commoners vented their anger on the San Nation. This time, even if the San Nation was in the right, they could not say anything. They even lost so many warhorses for nothing. Early the next morning, Great Yen Dynasty's daily newspaper was sent out by the officials one by one. Good, good, good. In a rich family, the old master who was reading the newspaper exclaimed in satisfaction after reading the headline. Old master, we're eating. Why are you shouting? You scared me, the concubine beside him said. Ha ha ha, madam, you don't know. Our emperor is indeed amazing. A small country like the San Nation actually dared to provoke His Majesty in the imperial court. Guess what happened next? All the warhorses sent by the San Nation were confiscated, and those San Nation calves were chased out. Ha ha, His Majesty is amazing. Isn't that bad? What if the two countries fight? The woman asked. Humph, the newspaper said that the San Nation has wild ambitions. Even if His Majesty is polite to them, Is he really going to send 30,000 young girls to the Sand Nation? Let's not talk about how the Sand Nation is just a sh*tty country. Let's talk about the culture in that country. The men like to beat women the most. Who knows how many women have been beaten to death by the men there? Isn't sending 30,000 young girls to them the same as pushing those women into a fire pit? Upon hearing this, the concubine nodded in agreement. Then, His Majesty is right. This scene played out in various places in the capital. When many traveling merchants saw this news, they also asked for a few copies of the newspaper and showed them to their friends and relatives along the way. Look, this is our emperor. His Majesty loves the people like his own children. He didn't hesitate to offend the Sand Nation and rejected their unreasonable request. The Sand Nation has been cheated badly this time. However, why do I feel so comfortable when I see this? That's right. If the Sand Nation really dares to invade us, I'll definitely sign up for the army. Ever since there were newspapers, the unity of the Great Yen Dynasty suddenly became much stronger. Meanwhile, in the Great Yen Dynasty, Gao Yen read the contents of the newspaper. He was so angry that his face was trembling. I'm the destined son of heaven. But why is that dog of an emperor, Luo Zhao, able to invent strange things time and time again? Which one of you can produce these newspapers? Gao Yen looked at the officials below and said coldly. They were not fools. They knew very well that if the Great Yen Dynasty's newspaper continued to develop, it would change the world greatly. First of all, it was certain that the public opinion of the people would change greatly. At the very least, if they had occupied the Great Yen Dynasty in the past, the people would not care about the matters that had nothing to do with them. However, now, the Great Yen Dynasty's newspaper stirred up the people's emotions of a common enemy. For the first time, the people felt a sense of belonging to the country. Naturally, this was not a good thing for Gao Yen. Hence, he decided to also publish the Great Yen Dynasty's newspaper and give Wang Zhong a good scolding. Unfortunately, none of the officials below could do this. There are so many of you. Aren't you usually very capable? Why are you all mute now? Gao Yen asked. Chapter 654. In the face of Gao Yan's questioning, the ministers below still did not dare to say a word. Elder Qiu, tell me what we should do. Do you have any good suggestions? Finally, Gao Yen looked at Qiu Renzhong. Your Majesty, since we don't have any craftsmen in the country who can make newspapers, we can only send spies into the capital to gather information. It would be best if we could find out how the Great Yen Dynasty produces newspapers, Qiu Renzhong said. Well, it seems like that's the only way. Your Majesty, this is bad. Suddenly, a soldier rushed in from outside. There's news from the Great Yen Dynasty. An army is coming our way. What? Gao Yen stood up abruptly. What a bastard! How dare you attack me first? Gao Yen never thought that Wang Zhong would attack him first. After all, his faction was the strongest. Logically speaking, they should be attacking the other factions. But soon, Gao Yen smiled. Fine, attack my place first. It's a good opportunity to join forces with other forces. Moreover, once you enter my country's territory, there's Heaven's Wall City guarding it. It's easy to defend and hard to attack. If you don't attack there, don't even think about taking half a step into my territory. The reason why Gao Yen was so fearless was because he had the protection of the Heaven's Wall City. The city walls were extremely high and thick, and there was a huge river at the entrance. There were mountain ranges on both sides of the city. It was impossible to go around the city. Therefore, if Gao Yen wanted to defend Heaven's Wall City to the death, he would not be able to take it down without several times the military strength. If he could hold on for a few more days, his allies would arrive. At that time, it would not be good news for the Great Yen Dynasty. However, what shocked the world was that 3 days later, a black object was pushed in from outside the Heaven's Wall City. No one knew what it was, but it looked very heavy. With hundreds of thousands of soldiers in front of them, the defenders of Heaven's Wall City did not feel any pressure. What a joke. Heaven's Wall City had hundreds of thousands of soldiers defending it. The other party had the same number of soldiers as them. They could rely on the walls of Heaven's Wall City and the geographical advantage to break into the city. This battle was personally led by Meng Ti. About 30 cannons were placed in front of the troops, ready to attack. Regarding the power of these cannons, Meng Ti had full confidence. It was said that these cannons were designed by the emperor. When the first one left the factory, he had observed it. Good heavens, that cannon blast had smashed a huge hole in the ground. If it had hit the city walls, it would have been easily smashed apart. Therefore, he was very confident. Looking at this group of artillery soldiers that he had trained for about half a year, he shouted, "Artillery soldiers, get ready. Fire!" Boom! 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 The defenders of Heaven's Wall City had never even heard of the name cannon, so how could they know the power of this cannon? In the blink of an eye, large holes were blasted in the thick city wall, and the soldiers standing on the side were all blown away. What's the situation? What is this? Such power! This is immortal energy, immortal energy. Some of the soldiers who believed in ghosts and gods shouted in horror. Release! Another row of cannons was blasted away. Boom! 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 After a few shots, the soldiers on the city walls were scared away, especially the cavalry in the city. When the horses on the city walls heard the explosions, they all jumped up and ran around the city. For a moment, the entire Heaven's Wall City was in chaos. Kill! After completely blowing up the Heaven's Wall City, Meng Ti led his army in. There was no resistance on the city walls at all. At this moment, Gao Yan was waiting for good news. He stood in his study and was writing. His words were becoming more and more flamboyant, vigorous, and powerful. What he wrote was a big word: victory. After he finished writing, he smiled in satisfaction. He was indeed in a good mood. He had just received news that the San Nation's leader had agreed to send troops. The Sea Salt Empire also said that if the Great Yen dynasty attacked them, he would immediately respond. As for the leaders of the other rebellious lands, they had also agreed to harass the Great Yen dynasty. It could be said that the Great Yen dynasty would be attacked from several sides. Fighting on two fronts had always been a military taboo, let alone the Great Yen dynasty. It was obvious that the Great Yen dynasty would be defeated after this. Your Majesty! At this moment, his fiancée, Yanzi, walked in. Yanzi, you can call me by my old name in private. I'm not used to calling you Your Majesty. Yanzi smiled. How can I do that? As she spoke, she looked at the words and said in surprise, Your words are beautiful. Unfortunately, it still lacks some charm. It'll get better in the future. By the way, Your Majesty, I heard that the Great Yen dynasty's emperor cheated the San Nation of 30,000 warhorses. The San Nation's leader was so angry that he killed Ambassador Yalu Shah. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect that dog of an emperor to be so shameless. He actually cheated people like that. However, this is good too. If not, the San Nation's leader wouldn't have agreed to form an alliance with me so readily. Your Majesty is indeed wise. As they spoke, the steward outside rushed in a daze. No, no, no. Bad news. Steward, why are you in such a panic? Gao Yan frowned. The steward had never been so rash. Heaven's Wall City, has fallen. What? Upon hearing that, Gao Yan could not even stand properly. He staggered back a step. Heaven's Wall City was his most important city. If he retreated, he could set up an independent base. It was easy to defend and difficult to attack. If he advanced, he could enter the Great Yen dynasty's belly. However, Heaven's Wall City had fallen in just half a day. How is this possible? Heaven's Wall City is easy to defend and difficult to attack. We have 100,000 soldiers. Even if we're a bunch of pigs for them to kill, we won't be able to kill them in time. The steward said with a bitter expression, the Great Yen dynasty invented a divine weapon that blasted Heaven's Wall City's walls apart. The soldiers were scared out of their wits. Some fled, some died, and some were utterly defeated. Your Majesty, don't be anxious. You're so smart, you must have a way. His fiancée Yanzi said anxiously. Get lost. Unexpectedly, Gao Yen flung Yanzi's hand away. Suddenly, he laughed. Ha ha ha, I thought that the great Yen dynasty was about to fall. I didn't expect it to be like this. I've been planning for so long, but I can't defeat the enemy's divine weapon. Moreover, what's the matter now? Speak. Gao Yen asked coldly. Moreover, it said that the Heaven's Wall City's garrison has surrendered together with the soldiers. They're now the leader of the army and are heading straight for us. They're expected to arrive tomorrow morning. The ministers of the other cities are now in a state of panic. According to sources, some people are planning to surrender to the great Yen dynasty in order to survive. Bastard! Gao Yen cursed angrily. At this moment, he was no longer as calm as he was when he was writing. He felt as if the sky was about to collapse. The saying, "a defeated army is like a landslide," was probably referring to his current situation. Gao Yen roared, "Sul Vai, what about the Sha nation and the others? Even if that dog of an emperor breaks through our defenses, at least he'll be wary of attacking us when the other cities start fighting, right?" The steward trembled as he said, "They've indeed launched an attack, but they were all blocked by the great Yen dynasty's soldiers. According to the intelligence, both sides are now in a stalemate. I reckon that after dealing with us here, the great Yen dynasty will deal with them one by one." Ha ha ha, I see. Gao Yen nodded. Investigate. Whoever dares to surrender to the great Yen dynasty will have their entire family executed. Your Majesty, you've always been known to love the people like your own children. If you do this, the people will gossip. Fine, I'll say it. How can I care about my image at a time like this? Gao Yen shouted ferociously. Previously, he had given out porridge and sympathized with the people. At the end of the day, it was all to win the hearts of the people. Now that the country was about to fall, how could he care so much? Yanzi, who was at the side, looked at Gao Yen in disbelief. She felt that Gao Yen seemed to have changed into a different person. She could not understand him at all. In the next moment, Gao Yen looked at Yanzi. Yanzi, doesn't your father have 3,000 private soldiers? Send them out. Oh, all right. Very good. Persuade your father well. This time, as long as I win, I'll return 6,000 private soldiers to your father. Yanzi nodded fearfully. She did not dare to refuse because she was worried that Gao Yen would do something irrational to her. Then I'll take my leave first. Yanzi left quickly. At the side, the steward frowned and said, Your Majesty, your attitude toward Yanzi wasn't very good just now. She's thin-skinned. I'm afraid she'll be angry. Humph. Do I need you to interfere with what I do? Gao Yen glared at the steward. The steward quickly lowered his head. Please forgive me, Your Majesty. Forget it. To tell you the truth, I'm only with Yanzi because I fancy her father's influence. Otherwise, do you think I'd care about her? I understand. Go. Don't take Yanzi's matter to heart. Gao Yen straightened his clothes. I haven't failed yet. The great Yen dynasty will be mine sooner or later. Both of them did not notice that Yanzi was covering her mouth as her body trembled at the corner. She did not expect the man who had always told her that he loved her to be such a person behind her back. She left quietly and returned home. She was not stupid. She immediately told her father everything. Father, what should we do next? Gao Yen wants us to send out our private soldiers. If that's the case, we'll be tied to him. If we fail, 9 generations of our family will be implicated. The crime of rebellion was not as simple as 9 generations of their family being implicated. Therefore, both father and daughter had a grave expression on their faces. Father, Yanzi, what do you think we should do? Yanzi's expression was cold. I thought Gao Yen would have a bright future. Now, it seems like he's just like what the commoners said. He's just fishing for fame. Gao Yen probably did not expect Yanzi to want to invest in Gao Yen. He was using Yanzi's family's influence. The two of them were just using each other. Daughter, what do you mean? Father, send someone to look for the great Yan dynasty's emperor. Tell him that we can help him. If Gao Yan finds out about this, it'll be bad. There's no other way. Gao Yan's power is gone. Everyone thought Yanzi was just a pretty face. Little did they know that she was the most scheming one. She had a good grasp of the situation. She also knew how to use her advantage to gain benefits. For example, in order to keep Gao Yan interested in her, she kept her distance from him even after he became the emperor. The two of them were not really together. Chapter 655. If that's the case, all right, I'll let your brother go. My brother is calm and steady. He can handle big things, but don't sneak out. He has to do it openly, Yanzi suggested. Daughter, if we do that, won't Gao Yan find out? Don't worry, father. Gao Yan has always been confident and thinks that he can control anyone. I'll let my brother tell him that we're going out to look for help. With his conceited personality, I don't think he'll think too much about it. You're the best, daughter. However, if it's possible, our family should think of a way to leave this place as soon as possible so that we won't be buried with Gao Yan. A failed rebellion like this would usually end up badly. The father and daughter did not want to die with Gao Yan. Of course. Yanzi nodded slightly. When my brother returns, we can consider leaving this place and seeking refuge in the great Yan dynasty. All right. Gao Yan would never have thought that while he was scheming against Yanzi, others were also scheming against him. Now, he was preparing to lead the army into battle. The front lines had suffered a huge defeat. If he did not make a move, they would probably suffer a crushing defeat. In order to motivate the soldiers, Gao Yan promised that if they won, each soldier would be rewarded with 3 acres of fertile land that could be passed down forever. This was a generous offer. One could only imagine how much Gao Yan had invested. However, no matter how good a plan was, it was useless in the face of guns and cannonballs. In just 5 days, the 3 cities under Gao Yan's command fell one after another. Many soldiers were scared out of their wits by the cannons and did not dare to attack. Initially, Wang Zhong wanted to let Meng Ti continue to push forward. However, Meng Ti was worried that the supply route would be too long. If the supply line was interrupted, it would be troublesome. Therefore, Meng Ti suggested that they reorganize the rebels in these cities to prevent a fire in their backyard. Wang Zhong was relieved to let Meng Ti handle these matters. These days, he had been supervising the construction of the weapons factory. Now, there were 2 artillery units. One was given to Meng Ti. There were a total of 30 cannons. The other was designed by Wang Zhong to be on the ship. This made the Great Yan Dynasty the first gunship in the world to have cannons. Very good, with these ships, we can deal with the Sea Salt Empire from the shore. When the time comes, we will attack from both sides. Even if Sul Vai can fly, I'm afraid he will die. Wang Zhong was very happy to know that the fleet was almost complete. Your Majesty, someone wants to see you. It is said that his name is Hai Ping, and he is the younger brother of Gao Yan's fiancée. At this time, He Taigao came in to report. He, are you here to surrender? Upon hearing that the enemy's brother-in-law was coming, Wang Zhong was delighted. Emperor, could this be a trap? He Taigao asked. I don't think so. Think about it. What we can think of, they can also think of. Do you really think I'll believe you? Therefore, I reckon that they must have come prepared and brought something good for me. Great companion, let him in. This old servant obeys. Summon Hai Ping for an audience. Soon, a minister led Hai Ping in. As a person of the enemy country, Hai Ping should not be able to see Wang Zhong. Fortunately, the Hai family knew some of the court officials here in the past, so they asked them to introduce him to Wang Zhong. Sinner, Hai Ping greets your majesty. Long live your majesty. Hai Ping knelt down and kowtowed sincerely. Sinner. What crime are you guilty of? Wang Zhong asked. Sinner's sister is Gao Yan's fiancée. Gao Yan is now rebelling. We are his relatives, so naturally, we are guilty. He. Then you still dare to come? Sinner is here to atone for my crimes, to share your majesty's worries, to serve your majesty, and to ask for your majesty's punishment. Hai Ping was also a talent. Not only did he lower his attitude, but he also asked for punishment. It seemed that he came with the determination to die. Of course, the premise was that Wang Zhong was a fatuous emperor. Anyone with a brain wouldn't kill Hai Ping directly. Okay, let me see how you are going to atone for your crimes. Wang Zhong said. This is the map of Gao Yan's troops, the number of troops, and some information about the defense of the city. Of course, these things were obtained by Yan Zi. In front of outsiders, Yan Zi was just a little girl who was very obedient in everything. In fact, she was very ambitious. She wanted to be the most powerful person in the harem. For this, she would do anything. In this aspect, she was quite similar to Gao Yan. But in terms of appearance, Gao Yan was not as good as her. He Taigao took the important information for Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong carefully looked at it. There were a few places that were heavily defended. If it were not for this information, it would be difficult for him to break through these places. Now that you have given me this, aren't you afraid that Gao Yan will kill your family? Wang Zhong looked at Hai Ping and asked. Your Majesty, I came with the excuse of asking for help. My sister and father have already planned to secretly leave there and seek refuge with your Majesty. Okay, I know. Wang Zhong waved his hand and gestured for Hai Ping to leave. Then, he passed the information to Xie Jin, the supervisor of the East Depot, and told him to hurry up and pass the information to Meng Ti. Wang Zhong was not worried about the authenticity of the information. If the information was true, it would definitely be a heavy blow to them. If it was false, Wang Zhong could not figure out what kind of benefits it would bring them. Moreover, Hai Ping was currently in the capital. If the information was false, how could Hai Ping still be alive? After Meng Ti received the information, he analyzed it with his strategists overnight. To be on the safe side, Meng Ti tried to send small groups of troops to attack 2 of the locations. As expected, it was very effective. Subsequently, the Great Yan dynasty's troops seemed to be on drugs. They were unstoppable as they killed Gao Yan's men. What infuriated Gao Yan even more was that his fiancée and father-in-law's family had gone missing. Even a fool would know why they had gone missing at this time. They must have run away when they saw that he could not do it. Good. Gao Yan laughed in the study. I've always been scheming against others, thinking that I'm invincible. I didn't expect that I'm the chess piece. The person who schemed against me is actually the person closest to me. Your Majesty, General Li Zemin at the front lines has died. All his troops have surrendered. Oh, is that so? Suddenly, Gao Yan laughed. Butler, do you think I'll definitely lose? This old servant dares not say. Ha, I'm the chosen one. How can I lose so easily? Pass down my orders. Pack up and head to the Sea Salt Empire. Your Majesty, are you going to seek refuge with Su Lv. Of course. Not only am I going to seek refuge with Su Lv, but I'm also going to kill him and take over the Sea Salt Empire. The butler was shocked. He did not expect the young master to have such a plan. He was familiar with Gao Yan. Since Gao Yan had said so, he knew he must have a plan. From this day onward, the Great Yan dynasty's army was defeated like a landslide. Gao Yan, who had not even stabilized his position for half a year, retreated to the Sea Salt Empire and became a laughingstock. When the people read the news of Gao Yan's defeat in the newspaper, they all burst into deafening laughter, celebrating the complete defeat of the Great Yan dynasty. It was also on this day that Wang Zhong received Yan Zi's family. You're the fiancé of that dog thief Gao Yan. I didn't expect you to be so beautiful. Wang Zhong smiled faintly. Thank you for your praise, Your Majesty. When I learned that the dog thief Gao Yan had rebelled, I, Yan Zi, have been trying to inform Your Majesty. Unfortunately, I never had the chance. Fortunately, my brother came. Please punish me, Your Majesty. There's no need for punishment. You've done well. However, I don't seem to have heard that you and Gao Yen were married. Why is that? At this moment, Yen Zi showed a pitiful look. Your Majesty, to tell you the truth, Gao Yen and I were betrothed when we were young. I had long seen that Gao Yen was not a good person and wanted to break off the engagement with him. Therefore, Gao Yen said that he wanted to marry me several times, but I didn't agree. That's why we barely managed to maintain it until now. Until now, this humble girl is still a virgin. This was done intentionally for Wang Zhong to hear, in order to lure him in. How could Wang Zhong not understand? He could also tell that Yanzi was a scheming woman. Initially, he was not interested in this kind of woman. However, it was said that Gao Yen was the son of destiny. Since he was so arrogant, he would sleep with his woman and publish it in the newspapers. He would let the world see that Gao Yan's woman was taken away by the great Yen dynasty's emperor. At that time, Gao Yen would become the laughingstock of the world. Wang Zhong waved his hand. He Taigao understood and asked the others to leave. Yen Zi was the only one left in the imperial study. Wang Zhong lifted Yen Zi's chin gently. Yen Zi did not panic at all. Instead, she was delighted. However, she said, "Please forgive me, Your Majesty." Why are you asking for forgiveness again? This humble girl is terrified. You'll be my beloved concubine in the future and serve me well. Yen Zi was delighted. Thank you, Your Majesty. Meanwhile, in the Sea Salt Empire, Gao Yen led the remaining 50,000 soldiers and a group of followers and fled into the Sea Salt Empire. In fact, Sul Vai looked down on Gao Yen. He thought that a person like Gao Yen was not worth mentioning. However, Gao Yen had brought so many soldiers and gold, silver, and treasures with him. Not only would Gao Yen give him so many things, but he would also work for him. Since that was the case, why not? However, Sul Vai did not expect that a fire would break out in his bedroom that night. Gao Yen led the soldiers and charged in. I'm the son of destiny. Whoever can capture Sul Vai alive will be rewarded with 100 taels of gold. Sul Vai did not expect Gao Yen to suddenly attack him. What made him even angrier was that his subordinates had betrayed him. He was really careless this time. In order to guard against Wang Zhong's attack, his trusted subordinates were arranged at the front line. Now that the rear was empty, he was dealt with by Gao Yen. When the news reached Wang Zhong was shocked. This Gao Yen is really skillful. However, since he has betrayed Sul Vai, are Sul Vai's former subordinates going to be captured without putting up a fight? Wang Zhong asked the ministers. Your Majesty, the families of those ministers are in Sea Salt City. If they don't listen, Gao Yen can use those families as blackmail. Chapter 656. Upon hearing this, Wang Zhong finally understood. I didn't expect Gao Yen to suddenly become the leader of the Sea Salt Empire. However, it's all the same to me. I'm going to die anyway. Wang Zhong's tone was relaxed in the imperial court. Your Majesty, we can't be careless. We'll have to pass through the Grand Canyon to get to the Sea Salt Empire. It's difficult for our army to enter. If we force our way in, we might be ambushed. That's right. Back then, the former emperor relied on the terrain there to hold the line of defense. The ministers were worried. I know what to do about Gao Yen. My dear ministers, don't worry. Wang Zhong said nonchalantly. 2 days later, Gao Yen held his coronation ceremony. In just a blink of an eye, the entire Sea Salt Empire was under Gao Yan's control. The poor Sea Salt Empire that Sul Vai had worked hard to build for most of his life fell apart just like that. His family members were executed on the spot, dying miserably. I've said it before. I'm the true son of heaven. Now that the Grand Canyon is blocking the foreign army, what right does the great Yen dynasty have to fight me? Gao Yan was smug and arrogant as he slowly sat on the dragon throne. The coronation ceremony went smoothly. After it was over, he began the morning court. Men, bring me yesterday's newspaper from the great Yan dynasty. Now, Gao Yan had a habit. He would ask his intelligence personnel to send over the news in the newspapers to understand the situation on Wang Zhong's side. However, when he read it this time, he was instantly enraged. This was because there was a piece of news that made him lose face. Gao Yan's scoundrel fiancé escaped from the demon's den and fell in love with the emperor. The content below described how Yanzi watched Gao Yan do bad things. She wanted to fight back, but she was constantly threatened by Gao Yan. After that, she fled with her family. After spending time with the emperor, she felt that the emperor was much better than Gao Yan. She fell in love with the emperor. Was this not announcing to the world that Gao Yan was a cuckold? It would have been fine if it were an ordinary person, but he was Gao Yan, the self-proclaimed true son of heaven. If this news spread, it would be the biggest joke in the world. *TCH. Gao Yan tore the newspaper to shreds. Below the stage, Zhou Renzhong sighed. Ever since Gao Yan suffered a series of losses, he was not as calm as before. It was difficult to use such a person. Your Majesty, please calm down. That Luo Zhao published this newspaper at this time to anger Your Majesty. Your Majesty, please don't be fooled. Zhou Renzhong quickly reminded. Of course we know. However, if we really encounter such a thing, how can we swallow this anger? Gao Yan took a few deep breaths and felt that there was no point in being angry. He thought about it and said, Old Zhou is right. Now is not the time to be angry. In the future, you don't have to send newspapers here. Guard the canyon and prevent the enemy from attacking. Yes, Your Majesty. The ministers said in unison. Wang Zhong also knew that the Sea Salt Empire was even more difficult to deal with, so he did not send troops to attack for the time being. Instead, he sped up the construction of large ships. A year had passed, but the great Yan dynasty had not made a move against the Sea Salt Empire. Instead, they went to the neighboring Sand Country. The Sand Country had a complicated terrain and was indeed not easy to deal with. However, the method Wang Zhong adopted was to send people to occupy it instead of leaving after attacking like before. Just like that, the Sand Country's territory was slowly taken over. As there were guns and cannons, it was impossible for the Sand Country's soldiers to counterattack. In just a year, the Sand Country's king was killed by his subordinates. Then, the Sand Country's ministers came to surrender. Just like that, the Sand Country was destroyed. Once the Sand Country was destroyed, the neighboring countries suffered even more, especially the Sea Salt Empire. Gao Yan was living in fear every day. He could not figure out why this was happening to him when he was clearly the chosen one. Fortunately, the terrain here made the great Yan dynasty's chances of attacking this place very slim. This gave him a lot of confidence to deal with the foreign enemies. Late at night, a fleet was quietly sailing on the sea. The leader of the fleet was a one-eyed burly man called Chen Hai. He was born by the sea and had been a boatman since he was young. Later on, he joined the army and became the great Yan dynasty's admiral. He was proficient in all kinds of navigation skills and could distinguish the direction at sea by the direction of the stars. This time, he went out to sea late at night on Wang Zhong's orders to catch the Sea Salt Empire off guard. At dawn, a group of troops guarding the sea noticed that something was wrong. Dozens of ships suddenly appeared on the sea. There were too many ships. They were densely packed. Soon after, the deafening sound of cannons rang in the air. Boom! 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 The military camp by the sea was instantly overturned. The ships transporting the soldiers easily docked. The soldiers disembarked and charged toward the military camp. This time, they did not lose a single soldier. They were already ashore. Gao Yan had just woken up for the morning court. He was about to discuss how to learn from Wang Zhong and do business overseas. To be honest, Gao Yan was indeed smart. He could see how much Wang Zhong had benefited from overseas trade. He also knew that although he could defend this place, it was easy to cause a shortage of resources under the long-term blockade. Hence, he could make up for this through overseas trade. However, before he could carry out his plan, he received a report that a fleet was attacking from the sea. Now, tens of thousands of enemy troops had landed. Although this was not a large number, it should not be forgotten that the enemy had guns and cannons. Their troops would die as soon as they came into contact with the cannons. Ha ha ha. It's over, it's all over. When he heard the news, Gao Yan cried. He knew he had lost his momentum. Zhou Renzhong sighed. He exchanged glances with the other officials and left. Gao Yan no longer had the heart to fight. From this day onward, he was reluctant to leave the harem. As for the other officials, some hid among the ordinary people with gold and silver and became rich landlords. Some fled through the night to the great Yan dynasty. Most of them fled overseas. After all, the Sea Salt Empire was a country by the sea. There were many ships there. A month later, Wang Zhong finally led the troops into the valley. 3 days later, they arrived at Sea Salt City. Gao Yan had already committed suicide. His butler, father, and family members had all committed suicide. Some of the servants who were loyal to him either died or fled. You're Zhou Renzhong. Wang Zhong looked at Zhou Renzhong, who was kneeling on the ground. Wang Zhong had heard about this person. Rumor had it that he was the military advisor. Many of the strategies came from him. Yes. Zhou Renzhong sighed. I didn't meet a wise ruler. I wanted to persuade Gao Yan, but he wouldn't listen. There's no need to talk nonsense. Kill yourself. Wang Zhong threw a sword over. Your Majesty, although I've committed a capital offense, I can assist you and help you build up your career. Zhou Renzhong frowned. He thought he was useful. There's no need for that. Your master is dead. You should go with him. Zhou Renzhong gulped. But, Your Majesty, I'm thinking for the people. Haha, you might be able to fool others, but are you trying to fool me? A disdainful smile appeared on Wang Zhong's face. Zhou Renzhong was nothing more than a pedantic scholar. He hated this kind of person the most. There was a saying that summed it up well. Since ancient times, scholars were heartless. Zhou Renzhong trembled as he picked up the sword. The sword is too cold. Dive into the water then. Wang Zhong pointed at the small river at the side. Zhou Renzhong retreated in fear. The water is cold too. I'm afraid of the cold. This was the strength of a scholar. Wang Zhong did not have the patience to talk nonsense. With a wave of his hand, the guards behind him stepped forward and escorted him away. Since you don't want to kill yourself, you'll be beheaded. Your Majesty, please spare me. Please spare me. I know 100 techniques, and I can assist you. I can assist you. Naturally, Wang Zhong ignored Zhou Renzhong's words. He ordered the guards to drag him out. After unifying the entire Great Yan dynasty, Wang Zhong completely integrated the forces in the grasslands. In order to gain complete control of these forces, Wang Zhong invented the railroad. 3 years later, due to the railroad, the entire country's mobility was greatly enhanced. In the blink of an eye, Wang Zhong was 40 years old. Currently, the Great Yan dynasty was in good weather. The country was prosperous and the people were at peace. Their territory had expanded to a terrifying extent. The people's lives were better, but many social problems had also arisen. The most common problem was the problem of faith. Originally, there was martial arts in this world. However, the martial arts in this world were only internal techniques. But for some reason, as the rumors spread, an organization appeared. It was said that those who joined the immortal sect could attain the Tao and cultivate. This organization was very mysterious. Nobody knew who was behind it. However, there were already many members of the immortal sect. In order to join the immortal sect, many people did not hesitate to sell their family fortune and sold their children just to become immortals. In the end, many officials joined the immortal sect. During the morning assembly, Wang Zhong read a few memorials. He frowned and said, "My subjects, I've recently noticed that an immortal sect has appeared in the pugilistic world. It has caused many social upheavals, and I'm very uneasy." As he spoke, Wang Zhong waved his hand at a young eunuch beside him. The young eunuch understood. He stepped forward and shouted, "Half a year ago, a middle-aged couple in Willow City listened to the instigation of the immortal sect's apostle and stole an old ox from the Xie family in the same village. The Xie family discovered it in the middle of the night and a fight broke out. The Xie family was beaten to death by the immortal sect's disciples who came later. Although many of the disciples were imprisoned, the instigator was unharmed. 3 months ago, a wealthy family in the capital listened to the teachings of the immortal sect's leader and sacrificed their daughter to him. The daughter refused and was beaten to death by the couple and the leader. No one was punished. 2 months ago, the villagers of Ming Village started recruiting followers of the immortal cult. One family refused to join the cult. In the end, the immortal cult's followers framed the family as ghosts and burned them alive. No one was punished. A month ago, in the name of delivering all living beings from torment, a great cult envoy of Green City gathered 1,000 young girls to be his wives, which aroused the resentment of a portion of the non-believers. Because the local mayor was a disciple of the immortal cult, he spoke on behalf of the immortal cult. The ordinary people were suppressed, and a considerable portion of the villagers came to the capital to declare their grievances. 20 days ago, one by one, the eunuchs read the cases aloud, which made many of the ministers frown. Chapter 657. After reading for more than an hour, the young eunuch finally finished reading. After he finished speaking, the young eunuch bowed and retreated to the back. Wang Zhong finally spoke. "My subjects, I'm sure you've heard about the immortal sect. There have been many incidents recently, and they've greatly affected my country. What do you think?" The officials exchanged glances. Finally, one of them stepped forward. "Your Majesty, although these incidents are caused by the immortal sect, the root of the problem is that the people don't understand the sect well enough." "That's right. We can tell the people about the immortal sect through the great Yen dynasty's daily newspaper. The immortal sect's hierarch descended to the mortal world to save the people so that they can enter the heavenly court." That's right, that's right." For a moment, a few of the officials spoke up for the immortal sect. "Nonsense." Unexpectedly, a young official stepped forward. "Your Majesty, the immortal sect keeps saying that they can let people enter the heavenly court, but their actions are all shady business. For example, they want people's wives and daughters. For example, they want people's money. They even enslave and brainwash people. There are countless cases of these incidents, and they've seriously affected the lives of the people. Your Majesty, please understand." Wang Zhong frowned and said, "I see. However, why do I feel that the immortal sect is not bad?" The eyes of one of the officials lit up. He quickly stepped forward. "Your Majesty, the immortal sect can really let people attain the Tao and cultivate. I've seen it with my own eyes." "That's right. I've seen it too. The so-called asking for people's money and wives and daughters are just for the sake of the people. Many people can't wait to do this." "Oh, I see. Why can't they wait to do this?" Wang Zhong asked, pretending to be puzzled. "Your Majesty, it's because they can attain the Tao and become an immortal if they fulfill the orders of the hierarch. Becoming an immortal is everyone's dream." The official who spoke had a longing expression on his face. Clearly, he was also influenced by the immortal sect. "As for the so-called enslavement, I don't know where this comes from. Those people are willing to be the hierarch's slaves. Only by serving the hierarch well can they attain the Tao and become an immortal." Wang Zhong looked at the civil and military officials, and an idea formed in his mind. In the past few years, because of the prosperity of the country and the peace of the people, he had been able to relax for quite a while. Basically, he would accompany the empress and concubines to stroll around here and there. However, in a moment of carelessness, this so-called immortal sect slowly expanded. As a modern man, he knew how dangerous cults were. Now, it seemed that even his own court officials believed in them. If this continued, they would be in big trouble. Therefore, Wang Zhong's next step was to eradicate the immortal sect and return peace to the world. Your Majesty, please understand. The person who praised the immortal sect before said. Well, it seems that it is indeed not bad. Wang Zhong nodded slightly. Several ministers who supported the immortal religion were overjoyed. Your Majesty, if I may be so bold, I have a suggestion. Speak. In my opinion, the immortal sect can help people attain the Tao and become immortals. It can also cure all kinds of diseases. It is simply the best sect. Why not develop the immortal sect into the state religion and lead the world to join the immortal sect? If Wang Zhong didn't want to dig out the hierarch behind the scenes, Wang Zhong would have already arranged for people to drag this minister out and behead him. Taking a deep breath, Wang Zhong revealed a harmless smile. Good, good, good. Your suggestion is very good. Unfortunately, the hierarch of the immortal sect is missing and I don't know any of the higher-ups. How can we develop the state religion? According to Wang Zhong's investigation, the immortal sect was a very strict organization. The highest leader was the hierarch. Then there was the hierarch, the great hierarch, the hierarch, and the emissary. The emissary was responsible for preaching. Finally, there were the ordinary followers. At present, the highest authority in the major cities and villages was basically the great hierarch. It was said that no one had seen the hierarch and the hierarch because they were very mysterious. Your Majesty, it just so happens that the great hierarch is living in this old minister's house. A minister happily said. Wang Zhong knew that this minister was called Zhang Xiaolin and was immediately delighted. Good, good. Minister Zhang, I didn't expect the great hierarch to be living in your house. This is a great honor. Zhang Xiaolin's face was flushed red and he said with a refreshed expression, Thank you for your praise, Your Majesty. Speaking of which, it took a lot of effort for the great hierarch to live in my house. Tell me about it. Wang Zhong said. This old minister went to the thatched cottage 3 times to invite the great hierarch to my house. Moreover, the great hierarch saw that my 2 daughters were spiritual embryos and let them stay in his room every day to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. In the future, my 2 daughters will be able to attain the Tao and become immortals. How foolish. This kind of big bluff really made Zhang Xiaolin stare blankly for a moment. Wang Zhong didn't say much and said, Very good. Let the great hierarch arrange for me to meet the hierarch. In order to commend the contribution of the immortal sect to my country, I will bestow him the state religion. Thank you, Your Majesty. By the way, you said that you saw the immortal sect helping people attain the Tao and become immortals with your own eyes. Tell me, what is going on? Wang Zhong felt that there must be something fishy about this, so he wanted to know the truth. Minister Zhang, you will tell me. Zhang Xiaolin walked over and said, Your Majesty, it's like this. I participated in the hierarch's speech once and saw the hierarch being able to soar into the sky with my own eyes. I also saw an evil thing on a disciple's body and the hierarch personally removed it. How did he remove it? The hierarch threw out a pile of powder and the disciple's body was set on fire on the spot. In the end, the evil thing was removed. With regards to these little tricks, Wang Zhong naturally knew what was going on. It was nothing more than some small magic tricks. However, in the ancient times, where information was limited, these were immortal arts. Originally, many swindlers in ancient times were said to be miraculous. Gradually, they became immortals and magic. In fact, they were all scams. Wang Zhong did not expose them. He nodded and said, Zhang Aiqin, I'll leave the task of contacting the hierarch to you. Contact him well. Once it's done, I'll reward you handsomely. Thank you, Your Majesty. Zhang Xiaolin was overjoyed. For the next few days, the great Yan dynasty's daily newspaper published explosive news. The immortal sect delivered all living beings from torment and brought benefits to the people. The emperor was going to bestow the immortal sect as the national religion so that everyone could learn from it. This caused a huge uproar. Those who had suffered greatly at the hands of the immortal sect could not understand. How could such a religion become popular? Those who had never suffered losses and believed in the immortal sect were overjoyed when they heard the news. They all said that the emperor was wise. 7 days later, a middle-aged man with a face covered and dressed in white entered the imperial court with a woman who was also dressed in white. These two people were the hierarch and empress of the immortal sect. They now controlled the entire immortal sect's disciples. On the surface, they did not seem to be very powerful. However, if they raised their arms, countless disciples would become their subordinates. Since their faces were covered, Wang Zhong could not see their faces. He could roughly tell that they were in their 40s. Their eyes were very sharp, as though they could see everything clearly. Such an image was indeed extraordinary. If ordinary people saw them, they would probably feel a sense of reverence for them. Wang Qiyu of the Immortal Sect greets Your Majesty. Yang Yu of the Immortal Sect greets Your Majesty. When ordinary people saw the emperor, they would kneel and greet him. However, these two people were very pretentious. They only bowed, which made them look very pretentious. They did this because they were certain that Wang Zhong would not do anything to them. Wang Zhong sneered inwardly. Naturally, he would not have any objections at this time. After all, he had already lured these two people out. How he wanted to deal with them was up to him. Hierarch Qi, I heard that you know immortal arts and can subdue demons and devils? Wang Zhong asked. Your Majesty, I do know these things. However, the spiritual energy in the mortal world is too low. I can't perform immortal arts that can move mountains and fill seas, Qiyu said. Hierarch Qi is too modest. I heard from many ministers that you can subdue demons and devils. Your immortal arts are unparalleled. Your Majesty is right. If I dare to say that I am second in immortal arts, no one dares to say that they are first. Then why don't I see how you can ride the clouds? Wang Zhong deliberately made things difficult, but his tone made it seem like he really wanted to see it. Faced with this request, Qiyu did not panic. Your Majesty, the spiritual energy in the mortal world is thin. I can't perform immortal arts without spiritual energy. However, after I saw Your Majesty, I found that there is a black fog around Your Majesty. This is a great omen. Your Majesty, have you been feeling dizzy and unable to eat or sleep well these days? This kind of questioning was the brilliance of this kind of Jianghu swindler. Because as long as one was an adult who had lived to Wang Zhong's age, they would more or less have the problem of dizziness. However, Wang Zhong deliberately said, that's not the case. Now that the country is prosperous and the people are at peace, the weather is good. I don't know how comfortable I am sleeping every day. Qiyu obviously did not expect Wang Zhong to suddenly say this, but he continued unhurriedly, as expected. Oh, Hierarch Qi, why do you say that? This evil creature is called Green Ghost. In order to not be easily discovered, Green Ghost can make people feel refreshed. However, over time, it will easily lead to disasters and diseases. As expected of an expert. Whether he admitted it or not, Qiyu could be flexible. If he was right, it would show that he had a divine strategy. If he was not right, he could also say the opposite. The group of ministers did not know the meaning behind this. The expressions of many loyal ministers changed. Your Majesty, you must ask Hierarch Qi to help you get rid of the evil spirit and take care of your dragon body. Hierarch Qi, please perform the immortal arts. Wang Zhong was very disdainful, but his face showed a panicked expression. Hierarch Qi, what should I do about my illness? Your Majesty, you don't have to worry. I entered the palace today to serve you. That's good. If you can really solve my problem, I will bestow the immortal sect as the state religion. Wang Zhong said with a smile that was not a smile. Qiyu nodded. Your Majesty, then I will begin. He took out a wooden sword and then took out a blank talisman paper. It was now time for him to perform. Wang Zhong did not know what kind of magic it was, but he knew it must be a trick. Chapter 658. Qiyu held the talisman in his hand. He raised the wooden sword high and began to chant. His voice was very soft, so no one knew what he was chanting. After he finished chanting, he suddenly opened his eyes and walked toward Wang Zhong. Your Majesty, sorry for the offense. Qiyu threw the talisman over. Suddenly, the talisman burst into flames. Evildoer, show yourself. After the talisman burned, it quickly ignited into black smoke. At this time, Godmother Yang Yu rushed over and rushed into the black smoke. Her whole body trembled and she let out a sharp cry. What a powerful immortal technique! Godmother Yang Yu's mouth was not open, but she could make sounds out of thin air. This scene made everyone turn pale with fright. It was a ghost's voice. Only Wang Zhong's expression was normal. Sure enough, these two big liars were capable of deceiving so many people. The man knew magic. He guessed that the talisman should be coated with white phosphorus, which would burn when it came into contact with air. The woman knew ventriloquism, so she could speak without opening her mouth. Everyone, please step back. My wife has a special physique that can contain evil things. Qiyu said. Sect leader Qi, will your wife be okay? Yes, it looks quite scary. Qiyu said indifferently, please don't worry about this. My wife's physique has the effect of suppressing evil things. Evil things will not hurt my wife at all. Spare me, spare me. Yang Yu continued to speak in ventriloquism. Then, Yang Yu suddenly said, Evildoer, you still want to escape at this time? I will suppress you. Spare me, aw. Screams kept coming out of Yang Yu's body. Why is this evildoer in my body? Wang Zhong asked. Evildoer, His Majesty is asking you a question. Qiyu shouted. I came from the outside. I am just an ordinary person who came in after I died. I didn't want to. This answer was somewhat vague, but it was very safe. Wang Zhong suddenly stood up and walked toward Yang Yu. Your Majesty, be careful. Qiyu reminded. No need, I will see if there is really an evil thing. The two of them had been acting for so long that Wang Zhong had no intention of playing with them any longer. He walked over, pulled out the sword of the guard at the side, and suddenly placed it across Yang Yu's neck. How dare you play tricks in front of me? After being frightened, Yang Yu was stunned. Your Majesty. Everyone was stunned. They even thought that the Emperor was possessed by a ghost. Your Majesty, what are you doing? Qiyu became anxious. There's still something evil in my wife's body. Is that so? Let her speak. Yang Yu hurriedly continued to speak through ventriloquism. However, as he spoke, Wang Zhong suddenly patted Yang Yu's stomach. Yang Yu let out a muffled groan and was interrupted on the spot. As expected, you can speak through your stomach. Wang Zhong's words made Qiyu break out in cold sweat. The husband and wife had used this trick to deceive countless people, and they had never made a mistake. No one knew how they deceived people, but how did the Emperor know? Your Majesty, you hit my stomach and caused my spiritual energy to leak out. I'm afraid the evil thing will run away. Yang Yu quickly said. Still don't admit it. Someone, give him a good beating with a stick. Let's see how they can continue to deceive people. Yes. The guards on the side rushed out. The husband and wife's expressions changed greatly. Qiyu shouted, Your Majesty, aren't you afraid that the evil thing will harm you? I've already seen through your trick. With that, Wang Zhong ordered someone to bring the bag on Qiyu's body, which contained a lot of talismans. Isn't it just burning the air? I can do it too. He took out the talismans and threw them casually. The talismans instantly burned and emitted black smoke. How is it? Wang Zhong said with a faint smile. The group of ministers widened their eyes. At this time, Qiyu and his wife were really scared. Their bodies began to tremble. The guards didn't care about anything else and began to beat them with sticks on the spot. Ah, Your Majesty, please spare us. Your Majesty, please spare us. Wang Zhong sat back on the dragon throne. He didn't even look at the miserable situation of the husband and wife. He shouted, Everyone, can you see it now? Your Majesty, Do you mean that these two people have been deceiving people? That's right. Not only are they deceiving people, but they also broke up people's families. If I don't take care of them, who knows how many more people they will harm. With that, Wang Zhong looked at the ministers who had joined the immortal cult. Do you have anything to say? I'm stupid. I didn't see the true colors of these two people. A minister said. I think that we need to investigate this carefully. We can't wrongly accuse people. A minister who firmly believed in the immortal cult said. You still don't believe it? Wang Zhong was very disappointed. He wouldn't put this minister in an important position in the future. Chiyu, if you too want to live, tell me clearly. How do you deceive people? The one who speaks clearly and the one who speaks first will live. If you speak slowly, I'll break your legs on the spot. The stern voice made the husband and wife tremble. At this moment, they no longer had their previous calm and tranquil appearance. Now, they only wanted to live. Therefore, Chiyu took the lead and said, We're deceiving people. Your Majesty, we're deceiving people. However, this is Chiyu's doing. We used to do acrobatics, and I know ventriloquism. As the two of them fought to be the first to speak, the ministers who initially trusted them widened their eyes in disbelief. The minister who spoke up for them earlier shook his head and sighed. He wondered why he was so stupid. All right, everything's clear now. This so-called immortal cult is deceiving the world. Their so-called cultivation is a lie. Now, I declare the immortal cult to be an evil cult. All the cult masters and great cult masters are to be arrested and brought to justice. The case will be reopened. The next day, the Great Yen Daily published that Wang Zhong had seen through the tricks of the immortal cult's master and empress with just a glance. He recounted everything that happened in the imperial court in detail. For a time, the commoners were divided into two factions. One faction firmly believed that this was true. The emperor said this because he was afraid the immortal cult would grow too big and affect his country. The other faction supported the emperor. They felt that with so many ministers watching, how could it be fake? Wang Zhong had long known that there would be people who believed this. There was nothing he could do about it. In modern society, everyone had received higher education, but there were still people who believed this. They even believed in a trick like investing 1,000 yuan and earning 10 million yuan in 3 years. It could only be said that there were too many fools in ancient times and modern times. Wang Zhong would turn a blind eye to such people as long as they did not cause trouble. However, if they caused trouble, he would throw them into prison. Wang Zhong had always had a deep hatred for evil cults. In order to spread knowledge, after the incident with the immortal cult, Wang Zhong carried out a major reform in education. Simple science was added to the subjects of mathematics, geography, language, and history. Wang Zhong knew that even if he carried out a reform, it would not change anything in a short time. He would not be able to see it anyway. After all, he was not young anymore. However, he still did it. It could be considered as leaving behind some legacy after he left this world. 5 years later, Wang Zhong was already 45 years old. Originally, Wang Zhong thought he could live for a long time. However, his body was getting worse. He realized that he loved to cough. Occasionally, he would suddenly cough out blood. I'm afraid there's something wrong with my lungs. In Luanhou Palace, Wang Zhong sighed and said, Your Majesty, the heavens help the worthy. You will get better. Zhao Luan did not believe this herself. However, in order to comfort Wang Zhong, she could only say this. Empress, if I leave early, you must remember to let my second son ascend the throne. Now, he and Empress Zhao Luan had 2 sons. He also had many children with other concubines. After observing, Wang Zhong realized that his eldest son was rash and was not as sensible as his second son. Therefore, Wang Zhong had already given the throne to his second son. However, his eldest son was already dissatisfied with this. Wang Zhong was worried that his eldest son would cause trouble. I know. Zhao Luan nodded. However, my eldest son has a bad temper. I'm worried that he won't agree. If it doesn't work, I'll handle it. As he spoke, Wang Zhong's eyes flashed with a cold light. The next night, news came that the emperor's eldest son had accidentally fallen and injured his scalp. He died. Now, his second son had naturally become the crown prince. A year later, Wang Zhong's lung disease became more and more serious. Finally, during winter, Wang Zhong passed away. This time, he left in great pain. After all, he had lung disease. He almost died from coughing. Mission character: Fatuous ruler Luo Zhao. Mission objective: I'm the emperor. I don't want to be burned to death. I don't want my concubines to be humiliated. Lifespan: 46 years old. Partners: 72 years old. As the emperor, you don't have many concubines even though you have so many. Descendants: 23. You let your descendants develop in various fields. They don't rely on the identity of the imperial family to live. Achievement evaluation: you made the great Yen dynasty a truly powerful country. Reward: 10,980 experience points. The experience points this time were average. Now, he had more than 100,000 experience points. Wang Zhong rested happily. For the next few days, he was busy with his villa. Finally, it was time to enter the small world of spiritual qi. Shen Shuang, I might have to go on a business trip for a while. Take care of yourself in the future. Looking at this familiar roommate, Wang Zhong felt that time passed really quickly. Big brother Wang, where are you going? Abroad, I guess. How long will you be gone for? Shen Shuang was very reluctant to see Wang Zhong leave. In the past, she was very afraid of Wang Zhong. She thought he was a murderer. Other than fear, she was more grateful to Wang Zhong because he had saved her family. Now, she had more feelings for Wang Zhong. That's right. Shen Shuang had long regarded Wang Zhong as family. She even admired him. Suddenly, Shen Shuang pounced on Wang Zhong and kissed Wang Zhong. Shen Shuang's lips were soft. A touch of red was left on Wang Zhong's face. Shuang, you're really... Big brother Wang, you've lived in my house for so long. Don't you know how I feel? Originally, Shen Shuang was not embarrassed to confess. However, Wang Zhong was about to leave. She felt that if she did not confess now, it would be too late. Chapter 659. Everyone, please come with me. Zhao Meng came to the edge of a rockery inside the farmhouse that she had opened. There was a secret door here. As Zhao Meng opened the door, a rich spirit energy rushed out. Behind this door is the small spirit energy world, Zhao Meng said as she looked at the crowd. Her gaze was fixed on Wang Zhong. It was not that Wang Zhong was handsome, but compared to the curious gazes of the others, Wang Zhong was the only one who looked calm. Wang Zhong's heart skipped a beat. This spirit energy was very rich. If he cultivated there for a long time, his strength would definitely explode. Of course, it was not essential for him to cultivate there because he could use his experience points to buy spiritual root elixir. This time, he had arranged everything around him and wanted to go in and take a look. After entering, there will be a white light. Come with me. Zhao Meng stepped forward. About a dozen people entered in a single file. Wang Zhong only saw a white light flash in front of him. Then, he was stunned. He did not come to an ancient place but in front of a huge tall building. The level of technology here was similar to that of Yellow Earth planet. The only difference was that everyone here cultivated. At this moment, a group of people in ordinary clothes stood in front of Wang Zhong and the others. They stood with their hands behind their backs and looked like experts. Hello, everyone. I am the principal of the Spirit Dream Sect. Welcome to the Spirit Dream School. In the past, there was no technology in this spirit energy world because everyone could cultivate. It was not until we connected to Yellow Earth planet that we discovered that there was also high-tech in this world apart from cultivation. Therefore, we secretly brought the technology of Yellow Earth planet here. This is the result of hundreds of years of development. In terms of technology, it is almost the same as Yellow Earth Planet. Wang Zhong sat in the corner and listened patiently with the people from Yellow Earth Planet who had come with him. He had been here for more than half a month. After coming here, he became more and more interested in the spirit energy world. The speed of cultivation here was very fast. Moreover, the spirit energy sect had promised them that as long as they entered the school to study, they would be able to learn all kinds of knowledge. Of course, after graduation, they would belong to the spirit energy sect and would need to do something for the sect. In fact, this was similar to a sect. The only difference was that a sect kept people in captivity. After graduating, the students would look for jobs on their own. If something happened, the sect would inform you to deal with it. Overall, the degree of freedom was higher. Because of this, Wang Zhong agreed to study at Spirit Dream School. For the past few days, Wang Zhong had been learning about the history and culture of this world. Only after learning well would they be able to enter the real Spirit Dream Academy. Today was his first day of school. For beginners like them, the school gave them a lot of care. For example, clothes and daily necessities were all arranged in the dormitory. The dormitory was an individual dormitory located in the male campus. After understanding all this, Wang Zhong couldn't help but sigh. He never thought that he would be able to become a student in his lifetime. Arriving at the school gate, Wang Zhong walked in with the admission letter in his hand. To be honest, if it weren't for the frequent sightings of students flying here and there, it really would be no different from an ordinary school. The students here wore all kinds of clothes. Some of the girls were wearing ancient long skirts, some were wearing modern jeans, and some were even wearing cheongsams from the Republic of China. Most of the boys were wearing casual clothes. After all, it was simple. At the entrance of the school, there was a row of reception areas for new students. Wang Zhong walked straight over. "Hello, student. Come and register." A young man waved at Wang Zhong. "Yes, I am a new student," Wang Zhong said and handed the admission letter to the boy. "Ah, so you are from Yellow Earth Planet." The boy sized up Wang Zhong. Because there weren't many people from Yellow Earth Planet here. The people from Yellow Earth Planet were curious about this place. Naturally, the people here were also curious about Yellow Earth Planet. "Hello, my name is Su Nes. In the future, we will be classmates." The name Zunis sounded strange. Wang Zhong could only comfort himself. Local customs, local customs. "You must be unfamiliar with this place. Let me show you around." Su Nis revealed a gentle smile. "Thank you." At first glance, the atmosphere in the school was pretty good. At the very least, no one looked down on people from Yellow Earth Planet like him. Some people in this school look really strange. After walking half a circle, Wang Zhong couldn't help but say, previously, he thought that wearing strange clothes was already strange. But when he came in, he realized that there were people who looked even stranger. Some of them were pink, some of them walked on tiptoes, and some of them even had 4 hands. "Oh, you mean those people who look strange? They are from other continents in our spiritual energy world. In the words of your Yellow Earth Planet, they are foreigners. But don't casually comment on their appearance in front of them. Otherwise, they will say that you are racist." "So serious." "Of course, the racism here is very serious. You will be kicked out," Su Nis reminded. At this time, Su Nis brought Wang Zhong to a testing area. "This is the place to test your strength." Su Nis smiled. "Wang Zhong, you are a new student. You can test your strength. Don't worry if your strength is low. After all, you are a new student. When you cultivate in the future, your strength will grow." Wang Zhong walked over and found that there were many people surrounding a testing area. The testing area was a large sponge-like thing. When one punched it, the sponge would cave in, and then the electronic display above would show the strength. It was a combination of fantasy and technology. 3,000 points of creation. Wow, he actually has 3,000 points of creation. This new student is really amazing. Terrifying. This kid is really scary. Wang Zhong was attracted. According to his understanding during this period of time, this world didn't have any divisions. It was purely based on strength. Creation was a unit of strength. Ordinary new students usually had a few hundred points of creation. And this new student had 3,000 points of creation. It was indeed amazing. Next new student. Another girl walked up and threw a punch at him. 1,300 points of creation. The crowd exclaimed again. The new students recently are not bad. Isn't that so? Su Nis smiled at Wang Zhong. Student Wang Zhong, it's your turn. Okay. Wang Zhong didn't want to hide his strength because there was no need. In this place, if you were talented, you would be valued. Therefore, after thinking for a while, Wang Zhong decided to use half of his strength. He had to be very strong, but he couldn't stand out too much, lest others treat him as a freak. Wang Zhong smashed his fist over. The electronic display flashed, and the number began to jump crazily. 1,000, 2, 0, 0, 0, 3, 0, 0, 0, 10, 0, 0, 0, 11, 0, 0, 0. Everyone held their breaths, dumbstruck. Was this really a new student? There were many people who had reached more than 10,000 points of creation, but they were all top powerhouses. And this young man was a new student, right? Then, the number suddenly rose to 20,000. Wang Zhong frowned. It seemed that half of the strength was too much. This didn't give him a good feeling. He didn't like the feeling of being the center of attention wherever he went. Hiss, hiss, hiss. In an instant, the crowd gasped. Wang Zhong felt that the temperature around him had dropped a lot. Terrifying. This kid must not be left alive. Which kid is this? He's so terrifying. The surrounding people sighed. Of course, most of the students were joking. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Suddenly, the electronic display flashed, followed by the breathing screen. The electronic display is broken? Damn, so it's a malfunction. I thought you were really that strong. After being stunned for a moment, Zunis heaved a sigh of relief. He secretly thought that Wang Zhong wasn't a freak. Ha ha ha. The students laughed. Wang Zhong shrugged his shoulders. He had already estimated the gap between himself and these students. This was a group of mortals. However, after this incident, Wang Zhong felt that he should use less strength next time. After leaving the place, Zunis brought Wang Zhong to the assigned residence. The residence was much better than expected. The rooms were next to each other, and there was a bed, table, and chair in each room. After introducing the place, Zunis smiled and said, "Student Wang, is there anything you don't understand?" "Senior Zunis, I've understood most of it for now. Thank you for the reminder." "It's fine. Alright, if there's anything you don't understand about cultivation, you can ask me." "Okay." Night fell. Wang Zhong looked at the sky outside the window. The sky here was different from Yellow Earth Star. There were no stars. Most of the surrounding dormitories were closed. Some students went out to play, but most were cultivating. Wang Zhong. At this time, Zhao Meng walked over. "Zhao Meng." Wang Zhong nodded slightly. After coming here, he hadn't seen her much. He didn't expect her to come. "Why are you here?" "I'm here to send you a cultivation manual. I didn't expect you to live so far away, so I'm the last one to send it to you." Cultivation manual. Wang Zhong took a manual and casually flipped through it a few times before losing interest. It was really, the cultivation method in this manual was too backward in Wang Zhong's opinion. No wonder the cultivators in this world weren't strong. Wang Zhong felt that this world was just like this. Seeing Wang Zhong's lack of interest, Zhao Meng said, "You can't bite off more than you can chew. You have to study hard to stand out from others, understand?" Okay, study hard. I'll go back in a few days. When you want to go back to Yellow Earth Star, you can ask for leave. Thank you. After sending Zhao Meng away, Wang Zhong returned to his room and began to meditate. The speed of cultivation here was very fast, but it was still far inferior to using spirit root fluid. After exchanging 2 bottles of spirit root fluid, Wang Zhong immersed himself in cultivation. Ding! In the middle of the night, a quest prompt appeared in front of Wang Zhong. Game is loading. Reborn creature. Farmer Chen Anlin. Farmer Chen Anlin. Wang Zhong frowned. He felt that in the few games he played, he was either farming or on the way to farming. This time, he was directly a farmer. Chapter 660. Reincarnated Creature. Farmer Chen Anlin. Creature Introduction. Chen Anlin was born in an ordinary family. It was during this year that strange things happened one after another. Not long after Chen Anlin was born, his parents died in an accident, leaving Chen Anlin and his grandfather to depend on each other. Before his grandfather died, he told Chen Anlin a secret. After his grandfather died, Chen Anlin found that more and more strange things happened in this world. His life became more and more difficult. He couldn't find a job, couldn't earn money, and couldn't even get a wife. In the end, he could only farm at home. One time, he was attacked and died a horrible death. Mission objective: I don't want to die a horrible death. I want to become stronger. Mission completion reward: random experience points. Warm tip: please try to use the benefits around you to become stronger. Just like before, there was still a lot of information about the mission. First of all, he was sure that strange things were happening in this world one after another. This was definitely not a good sign. Secondly, according to the warm tip, there seemed to be benefits around him that could make him stronger. Sure enough, every reincarnated character seems difficult, but there's hope to turn things around. Wang Zhong whispered. The most important thing was that it depended on the person. A white light flashed. This time, Wang Zhong felt that his body was dark. Did he come out of his mother's womb again? Ouch, doctor, my stomach hurts. My stomach hurts. Breathe, take a deep breath, push. Ouch, ouch. The child is coming out. Push harder, push harder. I can see the end. Hearing the doctor's words, Wang Zhong breathed a sigh of relief. This time, he finally had the help of a doctor. His safety was greatly guaranteed. Honey, you've worked hard. Look, our son's face is big and round. He'll definitely be a handsome guy in the future. Well, give him a name. My surname is Chen. Honey, your surname is Lin. Let's call the child Chen Anlin. Be safe and sound in the future. Well, that's fine. It sounded like the family atmosphere was quite good. Wang Zhong breathed a sigh of relief and drank milk in peace. After staying in the hospital for a few days, Wang Zhong figured out his parents' names and professions. His father was Chen Ning and his mother was Lin Wanyu. After being discharged from the hospital, the family went to a small courtyard in the suburbs. This was their home. Although they were not very rich, it was very fulfilling. The whole family was happy and harmonious. Wang Zhong also had a happy time. In the blink of an eye, Wang Zhong was able to stand up and walk unsteadily. Early in the morning, her parents went out to do farm work again. Wang Zhong sat alone at the door, accompanied by his grandfather. Grandson, do you want some water? Grandpa walked over and asked. Wang Zhong shook his head and rested his chin on his hand. Strange, Grandpa muttered. Other children would be very curious at this time, but this child liked to be in a daze. Fortunately, Wang Zhong would answer their questions. Otherwise, they would really have to send him to the hospital. After that, Grandpa went to the backyard to farm alone. That's right, their family was a typical farmer. His grandfather was a farmer, and his grandmother drowned in an accident a few years ago. His father, Chen Ning, used to work in the city. Because his mother, Lin Wanyu, was not in good health and was about to give birth, they stayed at home to farm for a living. The Chen family contracted a large forest and planted a lot of fruits and vegetables. Every time the crops were ripe, the couple would push a motorbike to the town market to sell. After working in their hometown for a few years, they found that the money they earned was about the same as working outside, so they just stayed at home to farm. This station is broadcasting the latest news. Yesterday, a ball of red light suddenly appeared on Zhongnan Mountain. Witnesses saw a flying fox passing by. Experts have explained that this may be a mirage. The city government kindly reminds us not to spread rumors or fabricate rumors. Rumors stop with the wise. Did something strange happen again? Wang Zhong sighed with his chin on his hand. After being here for so long, he had seen a lot of this kind of news. It had become the topic of conversation for the villagers. Wang Zhong summarized some of the strange things he heard after opening his eyes. After a widow's husband died, the neighbors said that they saw a man loitering outside the door every night. Someone curiously went to greet him. The neighbor said, "Hello, who are you looking for?" The man turned his head. "I want my wife to go down and accompany me." When the neighbor found out that the man was the widow's ex-husband, he was scared out of his wits. Later, the widow mysteriously disappeared. In the end, her body was found under her bed. There was a bloody note left by the widow, "I don't want to go down and accompany him." Another thing was that there was a small river on the mountain in the village. In the past, the villagers' children used to play there. Because the river was not deep, only half a meter deep, the villagers did not stop the children from playing there. But since last year, 3 children had drowned there one after another. Their expressions were different from those of ordinary drowned people. These 3 children had a faint smile on their faces when they drowned, as if they were smiling in the underworld. Because too many people had died, the villagers of course called the police and asked them to investigate to see if someone had harmed the children. At that time, the police came with more than 30 people and surrounded the small hill inside and outside. In the end, they found that there were no other footprints besides the children's footprints. There were also no signs of the children struggling. They concluded that the children drowned themselves. Because there were no conclusive clues, the matter was left unsettled. However, the police reminded them that no matter how shallow the river was, the children were not allowed to play there. This matter was too strange. Soon, the village spread that there was a ghost in the river. The latest strange thing happened last month. A carpenter in the village had a foolish son. No one knew where the carpenter got the son a beautiful wife from, but the whole family held a banquet. Unexpectedly, that night, the foolish son's penis was cut off. In the end, the villagers found out that the foolish son's wife had been kidnapped. The girl was a university student. In order to find a job, she had been drugged and brought here by a group of people. After that, she had been imprisoned at home by the old carpenter. If she did not listen, she would be beaten. He also ordered her to give birth to a son for his family. If she did not, he would break her legs. In the end, after entering the bridal chamber, the female university student cut off the foolish son's penis. However, the female university student's ending was also very tragic. She was smashed to death by the old carpenter. After this incident, the villagers still did not know. The old carpenter saw that the foolish son could not take it anymore, so he secretly buried the 2 of them. After that, he said that his daughter-in-law had taken the foolish son to work. At first, nothing happened. However, a few days later, the old carpenter and his daughter-in-law were found dead in their home. On the ground, there was a story written in blood. That was how they found out that he had found a wife for his foolish son. After this incident, the higher-ups also came to investigate. However, they found nothing. In the end, they concluded that the 2 of them had killed each other. In addition to this, Wang Zhong also heard a lot of rumors. However, he did not know if they were true or not. The only thing he was sure of was that this world was different. Not good, not good. The door was knocked open. The village chief rushed in anxiously. "Old Master Chen. Old chief, why are you in such a hurry? Your son and daughter-in-law have drowned." "What?" Old Master Chen's eyes narrowed. "Didn't they go to work? How could they drown?" Go and take a look. Old Master Chen hurriedly carried Wang Zhong and rushed to the field. Naturally, Wang Zhong did not cry or make a fuss. He just felt a little sad. As expected, the development of the matter was the same as the mission information. Not long after he was born, his parents died tragically. He thought about it. Even if he rewound the game, he would not be able to change the tragic death of his parents at such a young age. When he came to the field, his parents' corpses were neatly lying by a small river on the mountain. This river was where the 3 children had drowned. Chen Ning, Lin Wanyu. Old Master Chen looked at the corpses of his son and daughter-in-law and knelt down. Son, daughter-in-law, how did you come here? Old Master, take care of yourself. The villagers quickly comforted him. I'll take care of the child. As Old Master Chen was too sad, he couldn't take care of Wang Zhong at all. Thus, Wang Zhong was brought over by a woman. The villagers' eyes were filled with tears. Many of them sighed. It's too tragic. The child was just born last year. I didn't expect the young couple to pass away. Poor child. He lost his parents at such a young age. Sigh, Old Master Chen is already so old. What will happen to the child in the future? Wang Zhong's heart ached when he heard that. However, what puzzled him was that this small stream was only about half a meter deep. How could it drown people? If it were a child, it would be fine. Children's legs were weak. If they fell in the stream, they might not be able to get up. However, his parents were 2 adults. How could they drown in such a shallow place? There must be something fishy about this matter. The police quickly came over and investigated the scene. They only found the footprints of Chen Ning and Lin Wanyu. In other words, no one had appeared here. It was an accident. They drowned. The inspector hesitated for a moment and said, obviously, even he had some doubts about this statement. How is that possible? It's so shallow here. How could they drown? Old Master Chen questioned the person who spoke loudly. But there's no evidence of murder at the scene. The inspector was a little embarrassed. Evil spirit. It must be an evil spirit. A villager was terrified. 3 children have already died before. You said that they drowned themselves. This time, they drowned themselves again. How can there be such a coincidence in the world? Yes. We will investigate this matter carefully. In short, this place is strictly prohibited from entering from now on. After that, the place was cordoned off by a police cordon. Chen Ning and Lin Wanyu's bodies were carried back. Their relatives and friends helped with the funeral. Child, we will depend on each other in the future. Old Master Chen looked at his son and daughter-in-law who were cremated at the crematorium and cried. A few days after the funeral, a group of people suddenly came to the house. Old Master, your son is dead, but you have to return the money he borrowed. The person stated his purpose of coming. He was here to ask for money. Chapter 661. Money. Old Master Chen suddenly remembered when he saw them. His son and daughter-in-law had borrowed some money from their friends and relatives in the village to contract the land. Now that they were dead, these people were worried that they wouldn't be able to get the money, so they came to ask for money. I'll pay you back, but my son and daughter-in-law just died. I really don't have money. Old Master Chen said in a low voice. These burly men originally wanted to use force, but when they saw that Wang Zhong and Grandpa Chen didn't have anything valuable in their house, they looked at each other in dismay. Brother Zhou, what should we do? One of the men looked at Zhou Long. Forget it. Give me a time. When will you pay us back? Zhou Long, the leader, said. How much do I owe you? About 100,000 yuan. There's a harvest at the end of the year. I'll try my best to pay you back, but it might take 2 or 3 years, Old Master Chen said as he wiped his tears. All right, Chen Ning and I grew up together. You can decide. Zhou Long sighed. Before he left, he thought about it and gave Wang Zhong 200 yuan. buy some milk powder for this child. Thank you, old Master Chen said quickly. Then, a few more people came to the house. These people were all creditors. In fact, they also knew that once Chen Ning and his wife died, it would be difficult to collect their debts. Fortunately, these people didn't force old Master Chen to pay back. Those who were well off comforted old Master Chen that he didn't need to be in a hurry to pay back the money. Many people even said that there was no need to pay back the money. Overall, there were still many good people in this world. Just like that, Wang Zhong stumbled as he grew up. Although he was poor, fortunately, modern social policies were good. The village gave his family a few hundred yuan every month. As Wang Zhong grew up, his grandfather's health deteriorated day by day. Although Wang Zhong wanted to help with some farm work, he later realized that his health was very poor in this life. How bad was it? Not only was his body weak, but he also had asthma. Wang Zhong only discovered this illness when he was 2 years old. The cause was that he would cough lightly for no reason and couldn't breathe. Then, old Master Chen gritted his teeth and took Wang Zhong to see a doctor with a little money at home. This is your grandson, right? According to our examination, this child has bronchitis. It should be a problem with his physique. In other words, he has asthma. In the future, he may need to take medicine for a long time. If he can't breathe, he must use an aerosol spray. The doctor looked at Wang Zhong with pity in his eyes. From the way Wang Zhong and old Master Chen were dressed, it could be seen that they didn't have a good life. Asthma can be said to be a disease of the rich. If you want to live, you have to buy medicine for a long time. Especially the sprayer, you have to carry it with you. These things add up to a lot of money. How much are these? Old Master Chen frowned. Can you give my grandson a cheaper one? Doctor, this child's parents are gone. I'm old and my family has no money. All right, I'll prescribe you good quality medicine that's not expensive, said Wang Yao. Although he sympathized with the grandfather and grandson, the doctor had no choice. He worked every day and came into contact with a lot of poor people like this. Especially in the past few years, there had been more strange things. Recently, a young nurse suddenly went crazy and jumped from a building. Old Master Chen bought some simple medicine and took Wang Zhong home. Child, don't run around in the future. If you're tired, you have to rest. People with asthma can't be very tired. Otherwise, it's easy to be out of breath. Got it, Grandpa. Wang Zhong felt helpless. He didn't expect his body to be so weak in this life. Soon, Wang Zhong reached the age of kindergarten. In the school, Wang Zhong was the most obedient and smart one. He was also the king of the children. Wang Zhong could make children listen to him no matter how naughty or wild. Even many teachers admired him. After safely passing through the naive kindergarten, Wang Zhong successfully entered the primary school next to the village. In the days of primary school, Wang Zhong also studied hard. First, he was the language class representative. Finally, because of his outstanding learning ability and management ability, Wang Zhong successfully became the class monitor. Now that he had grown up, Wang Zhong also began to help his grandfather work in the field. However, he couldn't work for a long time because he would be out of breath after working for a while. This made Wang Zhong very distressed. He really didn't know how the original owner of this body managed to farm after his grandfather died. Finally, he made it to junior high school. Wang Zhong's asthma had been following him. Wang Zhong became a famous sick person in the village and school. Everyone knew that his body wasn't very good and he was prone to asthma. Wang Zhong also felt very helpless about this. He tried to use his previous pharmacology knowledge to buy Chinese medicine to regulate his body. Unfortunately, it was useless. After that, Wang Zhong tried to cultivate. However, there was no spirit qi in this world. Cultivation was useless. In the end, Wang Zhong also understood that he couldn't use the methods of his previous world to cultivate. However, the warm tips also said to use the benefits around you to become stronger. In other words, he could become stronger. However, he hadn't found a way yet. In addition to looking for a way to become stronger, Wang Zhong had also been observing the strange things in life. Strange things did appear one after another on the internet. However, not long after, the posts would be removed. Now, the most common saying on the internet was, "Don't believe rumors. Don't spread rumors. Rumors stop with the wise." There weren't many strange things happening around him. However, with his current ability, Wang Zhong felt that he couldn't solve them. Therefore, he could only secretly look for information. Time passed quickly. Finally, it was the season of the college entrance examination. Wang Zhong thought about it. With his ability, he could definitely get into a good high school. At that time, he wouldn't need to farm anymore. He could rely on his own ability to make a lot of money. Class monitor, with your ability, you will definitely be able to get into a good school. Class monitor, how do you solve this question? Can you teach me? Class monitor, I've done this question, but it doesn't seem right. Can you help me take a look? Within the class, Wang Zhong was undoubtedly the most popular person. In fact, when it came to the degree of obedience, the students listened to Wang Zhong more than the teachers. Wang Zhong was also very polite. He looked at the group of students and patiently explained to them. "Brother Chen, you haven't eaten, right? I'll get you some food." Just then, the vice class monitor, Li Su, came over with lunch. Li Su's grades were also very good. He was a transfer student. It was said that in his previous school, his grades were among the best. He even represented the school in the mathematical Olympiad and won the gold medal. However, after transferring to Wang Zhong's school, he was crushed by Wang Zhong in all aspects. Even the mathematical Olympiad, which he was proud of, couldn't compare to Wang Zhong. Since then, Li Su had been following Wang Zhong. If there was anything he didn't understand, he would ask Wang Zhong for help. Because Li Su's family was well-to-do, he often brought food to Wang Zhong. To be honest, Li Su's food was very good. Wang Zhong was also happy to eat. While eating, Li Su smiled and said, "Brother Chen, there's a question I don't know how to solve." As he spoke, he handed over a math question. Wang Zhong looked at it and frowned. "Wow, this is a high school question. You studied it so early?" Li Su sighed. "I can't help it. My parents pushed me too hard. But Brother Chen, you're good. You actually know this is a high school question." Wang Zhong nodded. "I learned it when I was practicing." "Brother Chen, you're a genius. You're a self-taught genius. Cut the crap." How to solve this question, Wang Zhong began to explain. Soon, he finished the question. Li Su was enlightened. "So this is how to solve this question. Brother Chen, you're so smart. I really admire you. You're studying high school questions." Just then, a crisp voice sounded. It was a girl sitting in front of Wang Zhong. Her name was Ma Feifei. Ma Feifei's grades were also good. She had been Wang Zhong's classmate since elementary school. They were very familiar with each other. "Yeah, Feifei, I'm worried that this year's exam will be very strict," Li Su said confidently. Wang Zhong smiled faintly. He could tell that Li Su was interested in Ma Feifei. This was normal. In modern society, children matured early. Third-year middle school students were already as tall as adults. Therefore, many students fell in love at this age. Wang Zhong didn't think much of it. He flipped through his book and started reading. Li Su and Ma Feifei started chatting. It was obvious that Li Su wanted to impress Ma Feifei. However, Ma Feifei kept glancing at Wang Zhong. She wanted to talk to Wang Zhong. However, Wang Zhong didn't talk at all. His mind was filled with his future and how to become stronger. First, he had to find a good job. Then, he had to do well in school. Wang Zhong wasn't worried about his abilities. The only thing he was worried about was what to do after graduation. Start his own company? Do a live stream? Start a movie company? Or start a Tencent or ByteDance? Although these were tempting, they were all in the category of making money. According to the quest, he had to become stronger in order to survive. Because this world was different. Wang Zhong looked out the window. There was a piece of news the day before. It happened in a small town near his school. It was said that a delivery man had delivered food to a family for a week. Each time, he would order the same thing. However, a week later, when he went to deliver food again, the neighbor downstairs said that the family upstairs had died last week. It was said that he was a shut-in who had starved to death because he stayed at home playing games all the time. In the end, the body was discovered because of the stench. When the door was opened, everyone discovered that the body was already smelly. This news scared the delivery man. At the same time, he couldn't believe it. He thought that the neighbor downstairs was spouting nonsense. Either that, or there were other tenants living in the house. However, there was something strange about it. For example, when he delivered food to this family, he only asked for the food to be placed at the door. Therefore, after delivering for so long, he had never seen this family. Therefore, the delivery man made up his mind to find out who was receiving the food. That day, he received another delivery order. When he arrived at the door, he placed the food at the door. Then, he quietly ran to the corner of the corridor and peeked. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.